How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having a good day. Today we got a pretty crazy story, actually two pretty crazy stories, but the first one is about a spoiled kid who ends up burning down his park. I know you'll enjoy it, so sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's just get right into it. So anyways, we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Bobby. We're going to call the next subscriber in the next story Hank because we're having a theme. If you guys can guess the theme in the comment section, then congrats to you. Anyways, right, so every single year, Bobby is 15. So for the last 2 years, I shouldn't say every single year, Bobby, hosted a talent show in the park. It was a very kind of like nonchalant, fun, have all the neighborhood kids come out with their talents with huge quotation marks around the talents because we already know what the talents are going to be. It's like, I can build Legos with the instructions, or I don't know, I can drink water while choking out a bit of a sentence at the same time. It's talents, right? And but it was fine. It was cute. Bunch of little kids. And the parents would come and there would be a prize given to the first place, and the prize would just be something pretty dinky as well. But look, when you're 13 or 14 or 15, this is your world. Like, this is all you know. So you really just didn't care. This was important. This was really important, right? So this was the third year of this going on, so it was pretty official. And there's a kid in the neighborhood who we're going to call the spoiled kid. And in every single one of spoiled kid is kind of a general term on this channel. It could be someone who flexes all their money that they didn't earn. It could be someone who's just generally very entitled. You could even have a spoiled kid who has no money, right? Or not enough, or not that much, right? But the thing is, he's just given everything he's wanted. He's given everything he's ever wanted. Okay, I said that right. I'm always jumbling my words. But yes, in this year, the spoiled kid didn't participate last year. He was in the audience. His mom was like, "You're coming to this. Like, I know you don't want to go, but you're coming to this." And he was like, God damn it, Mom. God. Right, but eventually he did come. I don't know why I made him Cartman for a second, but it works. And, he came last year to the thing, and he realized that he wasn't winning because he wasn't participating. And he thought to himself, well, since I'm the greatest of all time, that I will win this because I deserve to, right? And so it was kind of like his, look at that 3v1. Damn, let's go, Connor. Some good gameplay for once. Oh, I spoke too soon. Anyways, though, it was this year that the spoiled kid was like, I'm going to win this, I'm going to compete, and I'm going to get first place, and I'm going to show all the kids that I am truly the best, right? So let's just jump ahead to the day before the talent show. So there's kind of like a sign-up sheet for the talent show, whatever. Tell me if you want to sign up, and you didn't have to say what your talent was going to be. However, the day before, it was almost like rehearsal. And so Bobby basically, Bobby and his parents run it, right? It wasn't just a 14, 15-year-old kid organizing a massive event with all these kids or whatever, right? It wasn't exactly that. But, his parents did a lot of the behind the scenes. But anyways, Bobby and his parents were hosting a pre-talent show. Come test out what you're doing to make sure that it works on the big stage, right? To make sure that, you can actually do it. So if you're I don't know, be like, oh, I'm really good at water skiing. And then you show up to the stage in the middle of the woods with your water skis. You won't be confused on the day of the talent show, and you'll know why you can't show off your water skiing because you're not in a boat in the middle of the ocean. But the kids show up and they check in, and the spoiled kid checks in, and Bobby is a little confused because the spoiled kid doesn't come with anything. So he's probably thinking oh, he can just I don't know, have a really good SpongeBob accent. He can tie his shoes well. I don't know, right? So he goes up and asks because, Bobby checks the person in and then kind of looks at what they're doing. And if he has any questions, he's like, oh, what are you doing? If it's not super obvious. And, Bobby goes up to the spoiled kid and is like, hey, what are you doing? And the spoiled kid's like, it's a one-time thing. Once I do it, I can't do it again. So I'm not going to do it on the rehearsal. And Bobby was now pretty intrigued because that's not true. There's not a lot of talents, right, that are you do them once and then you can never do them again. That's very specific, to say the least. So Bobby's intrigued, and he's like, oh, what is it? And the spoiled kid says, I'm not going to tell you. And Bobby's like, well, I'd like to know it. you know, I'm not going to tell anyone if you're worried about like word getting out, if you want it to be a surprise. And then Bobby, or the spoiled kid's like, nope, it's not, it's a surprise. I'm sorry. And Bobby was like, okay, whatever, because Bobby didn't expect it to be something insane, which it was, but we're getting to that. And so let's just jump to the day of the talent show. So you're in the woods, not super deep in the woods, but you're in the woods. There's this like wooden stage type thing that was created by Bobby and his parents and some of the neighborhood kids, and they take it down and put it up every single year. There was a bunch of folding chairs. You were encouraged if you had a chair to bring it, but they also borrowed some folding chairs from like the school or some local something that had folding chairs, right? So, they had a whole setup. The parents came in. They were all like, sitting there. And there's a whole line of kids with their stuff, right? Their talents, whatever. And sure enough, kids would wander up on stage one by one. So you'd see people that were, I don't know, they go up on stage and they would have like one of those like dummies or whatever in their hands. They would be drinking a glass of water. They would be, choking on the water and nothing would be coming out the dummy's mouth. They would like cough up all the water and then they would ask for applause because this is a 14-year-old talent show. I don't know what you're expecting. So there was a lot of that. And the thing was like Bobby was like, okay, this person's going up. And Bobby was one of the judges. He had like 3 other older neighborhood kids. Actually, no. It wasn't older. It was past winners. I think in the very beginning, because like this was submitted to me over on Instagram at Connor Pugs. Submit it there if you want to submit your own stories. I think the first 1 or 2 competitions, that was judged by older kids, because this was kind of like just for like kids in like Bobby's age or whatever. So you'd have like 18, 19-year-olds coming in and they would be judging. But now it was like the last 2 winners and Bobby were like the 3 people writing down marks or whatever. So Bobby was like, like, oh, that's a 7. Oh, that's a 3. Oh, that's a light 8. That's really good or whatever. I don't know. And that's when it's coming around time for the spoiled kid's turn. And the spoiled kid has quite the talent. I don't even really know how it was considered a talent, but you'll see. So basically, right, the spoiled kid starts to walk on stage, and he's holding in one hand, and by the way, disclaimer, do not do any of this. Do not try and replicate this. Do not do anything like this. This is ridiculous, probably illegal, and very insane. Please do not do this. I know I have a slightly younger audience that watches me, so I just got to make it extremely clear that this is not cool. This is not chill. No one will say, oh, I guess you're chill like that after you do what is about to be done. So this disclaimer out of the way. The spoiled kid walks on stage with a bunch of fireworks. Yeah, fireworks. And like a lighter for the fireworks. So obviously, Bobby sees this, turns the other 2 contestants, and like kind of basically runs up to the stage, and he starts like waving his hands, and everyone in the audience is pretty confused, right? And he's like, dude, you can't do fireworks on here. And the spoiled kid's like, what do you mean? Like, it's my talent. Of course I can do fireworks on here. And he goes to light it, and Bobby's like, no, you can't. Like, we can't let you do that. Spoiled kid starts to get a little bit angry, because he's like, well, this was my talent. How I don't have another talent to give. How am I supposed to win if this is like if this is it? Like, this is all I have. Like, how am I supposed to win if I don't have another talent to show? And, at this point, Bobby's like, well, I'm sorry. Like, you can't do the fireworks. There's always next year, right? There's always next year, I guess. But you just can't do those. And at this point, like, everyone was looking at him because people are like, oh, why is this kid still on stage? Like, what's going on? And the spoiled kid starts to get, like, all nervous or whatever. He's like, no, dude, you don't understand. Like, I gotta do this because I gotta win. I gotta win this. And everyone was kind of confused, like, why is he, like, so adamant on winning this? Like, that's kind of weird. The spoiled kid's like, step back, bro. And, Bobby's like, what do you mean? He's like, just step away from the stage for a second. So Bobby does, because he's like, this kid's probably, like, I'm just going to do what he says because, like, he probably means that for my safety. But Bobby didn't put 2 and 2 together. So basically, right, Bobby steps back from the stage. The spoiled kid grabs the lighter and quickly ignites all the fireworks, right? And at this point, like, everyone in the audience starts, like, talking. You know that kind of, like, crowd murmur when something is going on? And then, like, everyone's, like, some of the people in the audience are like, wait a minute, like, whoa, 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 whoa. And, like, some of the parents are like, hey, he's got, like, a firework, like, everyone get back. And people start, like, they don't sprint out of there, but, you know, like, a very slow progressing into a faster and faster crowd dispersion. That's basically what went on here. So yeah, the fireworks lit off. Instead of shooting towards the crowd, thankfully, that would have been terrible. I mean, this wasn't great either. They shot backwards, and then this wasn't a massive forest, but it was like a little brush. They, like, hit the trees, and they lit the trees on fire. Like, there was a massive fire going on behind them. At this point, you know, Bobby, the spoiled kid, all the kids are running out of there. The parents are calling 911 to get, like, the fire department in there. It's stuff like that. You know how it is. You already know, man. Like, it's not great. So the fire department gets there. Thankfully, they're able to put out the fire, but the entire kind of, like, forest brush type area, it's burned down. It's not looking good. You already know how that is. So, you know, fire department's there, and they're just, like, trying to figure out what happened. And, you know, the parents are kind of explaining, yeah, this kid brought fireworks to the talent show, and believe it or not, fireworks in the talent show didn't go down that well, because it, you know, shot backwards and burned down, you know, the entire forest. So yeah, the kid got in a lot of trouble. I mean, the kid got in some trouble, but also it was more, okay, this kid's 15. How did he get access to fireworks, whatever, right? Turns out, you know, the spoiled kid's parents, like, had some, and they didn't, like, hide them from him properly. So it was a huge mess. I didn't get a ton of details of what exactly happened. I don't know, probably kid got some kind of punishment. Parents probably got in some trouble for having them, and then, you know, probably had to like, do something to help recuperate the damage of the that was done to the forest or whatever. But unfortunately, right, because this happened a long time ago for Bobby, unfortunately, man, he hasn't done one of these since. Like, he legitimately has not, he's 17 now, he's a little old now to do it, but, you know, when he was 16, his parents were like, nah, we really shouldn't do it with the whole thing that happened last time. So, I mean, obviously, worst thing that's happened was, like, the forest. They had to replant all these trees and stuff. However, also wasn't great for Bobby either, because, yeah, there was no more competitions after that. After the spoiled kid decided that he wanted to win so bad that he would essentially blow up the forest in a fireball, which is just wonderful. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the second story Hank. So if I had to give a title to this story, it's going to be, and, like, if I was to title this as a YouTube video to get you guys interested, because I think you're going to find this one pretty interesting, the title would be, in quotation marks, I'm pregnant, ex-girlfriend text or something like that. Yeah, so this is a very interesting one. Don't worry, it's still going to be relatively PG. I mean, it's a little bit PG-13-ish, so if that's not your thing, just be aware. I mean, pregnancy doesn't come from the storks. I'm not going to be the one who explains it to you if you don't know. Just wait for your parents. But anyways, right, I'm not going to have any weird details or anything. However, the story is still very interesting. So anyways, Hank, who we're going to call the subscriber in the story, and apologies if I said Hank for the subscriber in the last story. It's on my story sheet right now. The names are right next to each other. But we're calling the subscriber Hank. And anyways, Hank is a sophomore in college, and he goes to college kind of far away from where he lives. So whenever Hank goes back to his hometown, it's a good experience, you know. He gets to see all of his friends that he hasn't seen in forever again. He gets to, that's basically what he gets to do. And that's really nice, right? And anyways, right, you know, his friends, you know, he came back, you know, to his hometown. He's meeting up with all of his friends or whatever. They're having a good time. And one of his friends, who we're just going to call Ben, of course we're going to call him Ben, who we're just going to call him Ben. He says, hey, man, like, I'm having a lot of people over Friday night. I'd love for you to come out. It's not like you're not going to know everyone, but the majority of people that you used to know will be there. You should totally show up. So obviously, you know, Hank is like, yeah, man, of course. I'd love to go there. I'd love to see you guys, and it'd be cool to, like, you know, hang out with you guys again. And it's been a long time since I've seen everyone at once. So sure enough, you know, Hank shows up there, And he's like talking with all of his friends. It's a really good time. Even the people that he doesn't really know, they're friends with his friends. So it's like they mesh really easily, mesh really nicely. Just really good stuff like that. And another thing is like, Hank isn't like a millionaire, right? But it's kind of like known that Hank has this kind of like side business thing going. He's one of those guys who like got into drop shipping before it dried up or something like that. It's kind of known that, Hank, while not being like a billionaire, he's not on a Forbes list or anything. From his kind of like online or side businesses or whatever, I wasn't giving specific details. These are just guesses. But for some reason, they know that, he's doing pretty well and he's doing pretty well for himself. It's not like he has like a trust fund or something, but like he somehow found a way to like make a decent amount of money. So that is an important detail for you to know. And it'll play an important role in the future. Just listen, right? So anyways, Hank meets up with this girl that he never knew when he was, when he lived here, but he kind of recognized her name. It just seemed a little memorable. What Hank assumes is, she just lived in the town but just didn't go to school with him, and they just never happened to cross paths. And they hit it off really well. I mean, they hit it off. This doesn't go well, but they hit it off really well. They're talking with each other. When Hank's friends comes up to him not after the party, but after him and this girl stopped talking for like an hour or something, he's like, hey man, like I was just talking with that, that girl you're talking to. And Hank's like, yeah, dude, yeah. And he's like, I was just talking to one of her friends. She really likes you. And Hank's like, oh, okay. And, he's like, kind of gives him a wink and a nod, like, no, she really likes you, man. And he's like, oh, okay. Because Hank, was honestly just having like a good conversation with her. But, she was a pretty girl, like, it is what it is, man. And I'm just going to leave out the next bit of detail here. If you can make assumptions, you can make assumptions. Let's just say that they expressed interest in each other, and did so kind of recklessly. But anyways, if that totally went over your head, that's fine. If you understand, you understand. It is what it is, right? So Hank's is here for the summer. He doesn't have like an internship where he has to go somewhere else because he's working on his own kind of business type thing. And it's like online or whatever. So he has the ability to kind of be at home and chill with people, make his own hours or whatever. And 2 weeks later, he gets a text and it's from a random number saying, hey, is this Hank? And, Hank normally doesn't like responding to random numbers because a lot of times it's like, I don't know, scammers or spam or something. But when someone says, hey, is this, and then says your name, 9 out of 10 times, they're probably someone who just doesn't have your number and maybe got it from someone else and is just confirming that they typed it in right or they were giving correct information. So Hank says, yeah, what's up? And, the person responds, hey, this is Kate, right? This is Kate from the party or whatever. He's like, oh, hey, Kate, how's it going? And she's like, hey, we got to talk. And I've said this before. Whenever someone says, we got to talk, it's never like, hey, man, we got to talk. I just wanted to let you know that you're awesome. I really love spending... No. I mean, maybe once every trillion times. Maybe. Even that's a little hopeful. When someone says they want to talk and they don't specify that it's like totally fine, because people will say, oh, we got to talk. Oh, by the way, it's not a bad thing. That's different. But when someone just says ominously, we got to talk, ... like sad face or something, it's not great. It will never be great. And Hank was really confused on what was going on or like what was even going to happen, right? So he is just like, yeah, what's up? He doesn't get a text back from her for like 10 minutes. So that was probably one of the most ominous 10 minutes. Hank had no idea what was coming, but he was like, yeah, no, this is not good. Like whatever it is, it's definitely not like a great thing that's probably happened. That's just my assumption here. And that's when he gets a War and Peace length novel type text. And the text was super, 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 super long. But the very beginning of the text message says, I think I'm pregnant. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Maybe that wasn't the most serious way to address this, but This, you know that like the SpongeBob like wham wham sound effect. Look, and there's nothing wrong with like, in fact, getting pregnant is probably it's miracle life, you know, great, but it's normally better when you want to. You know what I mean? It's normally better when you are prepared to. I should even say, you know. And Hank didn't know this girl. So Hank immediately, like, he's like, oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. But he continues to read, like, the rest of it. And it goes on to be like, hey, I know you don't know me. I know, like, this is pretty crazy. Like, this is insane. I know. Look, I understand that, like, you're busy, you're a business person. You don't even live around here. You don't even know me. Like, I get it. And then she goes on to say, look, raising a child's pretty expensive. If you just kind of give me a lump sum up front, I won't bother you. Like, we're chilling. And here's right away. So Hank was like feeling terrified up until the point where he read, like, if you give me a lump sum up front. That is like the most like scammer way of just give me it all up front, man. I'll make you 10% back every single day, man. It just doesn't work. But, yeah, so he reads that, and he's immediately, like, suspicious, red flag, whatever. So he doesn't text her back right away. He goes to go text his friend, and he sends a screenshot. And his friend's like, holy shit, dude. And he's just like, oh, I'm not supposed to swear. It's family friendly. Sorry, guys. If you learned a new word today, tell your parents it was from the Badmouth TV and not the Connor Pugs YouTube channel. Anyways, and his friend's like, oh, my God, dude, like, that's insane. And sure enough, he's like, okay. Can you read it though? Because I mean, his friend responded within like 5 seconds, meaning he just read the tagline. His friend responds, dude, that's really weird. Like, you know what? You chill. I'm going to go like talk to her friends or whatever. Cause I got to get to like the bottom of this. So Hank is like, this is like the most uncomfortable 3 hours of his life. He tries to go watch TV or videos or plays video games. He tries to do anything to distract himself. But it is incredibly difficult for obvious reasons. But that's when he gets a call from his friend, and he picks it up, and he's like, what's up? His friend's like, dude, you're not going to believe this. Like, I went to her friends, or who I thought were her friends, but apparently her friends they completely, like, exposed her or whatever. Like, check your phone. So Hank's like, oh, word, okay. So Hank immediately feels a lot of relief, because he's like, okay, she's definitely pulling something on me. And he looks at his phone, and within like 5 seconds, he receives like 5 texts from his friend. Let's just call him Ben, right? Let's say he's the same friend as before. And it's screenshots of like this girl, I forgot what he called her. We're just going to call her girl. The girl's friends and this girl, talking with each other. And the screenshots are basically like her quote unquote friends talking with her. And this girl is talking about how she like, she got with this like really rich business person and how she's going to like swindle him out of like 20 grand or something. And this is going to be the greatest heist of all time. And that her and her little girlfriends can go out on a shopping spree afterwards or whatever. Why did her girlfriends, why did they rat her out? I don't know. Maybe they just had some decency. I honestly don't know. But when Hank sees this, he's like, oh my God, like, that's insane. I never believed like something like this would ever happen. Like, this is genuinely crazy. Thank you so much for going out of your way to figure this out for me. Like, legit lifesaver. Thank you so much. It's basically what he said, right? And that's when, Hank was like, all right, well, this girl is trying to mess with me. How do I mess with her back on this one? And, yeah, so basically, Hank responds like, hey, he basically just wants to get a little bit more information. So he responds to her and it's like, hey. And she's like, hey, I'm sorry to put that all on you. Like, are you okay? Trying to be all like fake nice or whatever, when the truth is she was not a great person here. So anyways, Hank is like, hey, so I just need a few more details, right? And she's like, sure, 100%. What do you need? And she was probably expecting like, what's your bank account so I can wire transfer you some money, right? But in fact, it was like, he's like, hey, can I see the pregnancy test? And she's like, oh, I already threw it out. And he's like, that's a little weird. Like, can you take another one? She's like, it's really expensive. I can't. And he's like, well, if you actually are pregnant and we're going to go through with this, like, you'd be getting a lot of money. I don't think that'd be an issue. And she's like, you don't know how much it is to, like, raise a child, which, side note, it's a ton of money to raise a child. That's why asking for 20 grand up front makes literally no sense, because over time it's probably going to be a lot more than that. But whatever, right? So he's like, okay. He's like, and you're sure it was me and not someone else? And she's like, yes, I'm 100% sure. Like, why can't you, like, see it from my point of view? Like, I will bring you to the courts or whatever. And then she started to get really aggressive like that. And at this point, she was like, and this is where Hank was like, okay, time for me to play, like, the ace under my sleeve and basically just expose her. So what happens, right, is he basically just sends her the text messages, like, sure, a little bit kind of through her friends under, like, her friends probably didn't realize that she was going to be seeing her text messages sent back to her. But, this girl, like, Hank sends this girl these messages, right, of just, like, basically proving that she's terrible, right? And basically proving that she was planning on faking a pregnancy to get 20 grand out of this guy, to scam him for something that, like, an actual issue, And she doesn't respond for an hour. And then she responds back with this massive text paragraph, whatever. Instead of, like, denying it, because I think she realized that she was exposed enough, she's like, I'm so sorry. I really need money to do X, Y, basically a massive sob story. And you know what? Hank does something so great. He responds to the massive paragraph, basically being like, give me the money anyways, with, the iMessage pool app where it's like, do you want to play, like, pool with me or whatever? He sent one of those. She obviously did not respond to that because I think she knew the gig was up. But after that point, Hank went on his phone, told the story to his friend, and from that point on, he realized that, wow, it's an evil world we live in. Like, cue the future clip, right? It's an evil world we live in, man. That's all I can say. So just moral of the story is be careful out there, kid. And just imagine for a second that you go and see your cousin who you haven't seen in over 2 years, and it turns out that your cousin is the most spoiled kid on planet Earth. And the entire time that you're there, he's flexing just how expensive his new Yeezy Supreme Hypebeast Bape brick cinder block is, dude. And you're kind of just sitting there the entire time questioning your life and being like, why? Why do I live just to suffer, bro? Yeah, but anyways, that's the story that I'm going to be telling you today. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just simply jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Ryan. And Ryan had not seen his little cousin in about 2 years at this point. And we're going to call the little cousin, or Ryan's little cousin in the story, Ben. So the thing is, 2 years ago, they just had a kind of, not a falling out, but, like, I know that, like, Ryan's mom and Ben's mom just didn't really leave on good terms. So, like, Ryan's mom was always, like, they were always, like, a somewhat middle-class, normal family. Like, they never, like, had to struggle that much, but they also never were able to do anything that fun. Like, if they were going to have a vacation, it would be, like, I don't know, to, like, their vacations would be, like, down the street. You go to the hotel there. You're not going to, like, Fiji, or you're going to France or whatever. And the thing is, like, Ben, Ryan's cousin, would literally have a vacation every 2 months to, like, the most exotic place on planet Earth. But that wasn't the reason why they had a falling out. The reason why they had a falling out was that it was actually Ben's mom. So Ryan's cousin Ben, his mom, or I guess Ryan's aunt. Dude, I'm not good with family trees. But basically, Ben, the spoiled kid, it was his mom, so Ryan's aunt. It was her, like, wedding. And Ryan and his mom showed up. And Ryan's, like, parents couldn't afford, like, $1,000 to give her in, like, a wedding gift. So they got her something that was, like, fairly sentimental, right? They were, like, I don't know, it was a sentimental gift. But since, like, I don't know, like, Ben's mom was kind of like everyone else at the wedding was giving her, like, oh, here's gold-encrusted carrot for you. It restores the most hunger with good saturation. It's great in Minecraft. And they give her, like, oh, here's, like, I don't know, gold encrusted whatever, or just, like, really expensive stuff. And then, so basically, Ben's mom had a very snarky comment to Ryan's mom about like how like it's a cheap gift or something like that. And after that point, they kind of had a falling out. However, 2 years past that point, Ryan's mom and Ben's mom kind of got on the phone together. And since I think they're sisters, I think that's how it works. Somehow they're like closely related, right? They decided that like just like they got to get over it. Like they're family, they're not going to live forever, and that like, you know, it's just important for them to like stick together, and like something petty like that is ridiculous. I think both sides apologized for the way that they reacted, which, you know, I do understand, like, some people might be like, why did Ryan's mom, like, apologize? Like, she didn't do anything besides getting a gift for her sister who had a wedding. But at the same time, Ryan's mom did cut them off for 2 years. So there's not really anyone who is, like, in the complete clear in that one. But either way, both of them kind of chill out with each other and are on good terms. So Ryan's mom informs Ryan that he is going to go this, like, summer, that they're going to go stay a week at, you know, Ben's mom or her sister's house or whatever, and that, you know, it's going to be a great time because they have a really good house and they live in a pretty cool neighborhood type place, and it's near, I don't know, it's like on the shore, so maybe they're in Cape Cod or Nantucket or one of those places, right? So there's going to be a lot of fun things for Ryan to do there, and Ryan kind of looks at his mom and is like, yeah, but like, I know I'm going to have to hang out with Ben. And the thing is, right, ever since Ben was a little kid, he was kind of like a notorious spoiled brat. He was not that fun to hang out with. But, you know, Ryan's mom was like, you know what, Ryan, Ben was like 2 years ago. Like, I know 2 years doesn't sound like a long time, but, you know, since he's a younger kid, they mature really quickly. He's probably a much better person now. Like, I think that you're not giving him like a good opportunity to prove himself. And Ryan's like, you know, all right, like, I'm not going to make a stink about it. Like, obviously, that's very nice of them to invite us up there. So, yeah, like, that's fine. It's all good. So, eventually, the summertime rolls around, and Ryan gets in the car with his mom, and they drive up about 2 hours to go see, you know, Ryan's little cousin Ben and, you know, Ryan's mom's sister. So, you know, they already know that something's like, that this is not your normal house. Because they're driving up, right? They're driving up to go see this guy, to go to Ben's house, or I guess Ryan's mom's sister, but same thing, right? They're going up to the house, and you know it's a different house when you have to, like, enter a driveway just to get to their house, and the driveway to get to their house takes, like, 3 minutes to drive. And I don't mean, like, a driveway down a street. I mean a driveway to their house. Like, this was, like, a mega mansion, bro. This thing was huge. Yeah, and at this point, like, you know, Ryan kind of turns to his mom and is like, this kid's house is, like, enormous. Like, we haven't even gotten there yet. And Ryan's mom's like, yeah, you do remember, like, you know, my sister's, like, husband is a very successful banker, or, I don't know, he invented Apple. He's Steve Jobs' guy. He's back from the dead. I don't know, man. But, yeah, like, you know, they're very successful, and, like, this isn't really surprising. However, Ryan was just, like, admiring the drive up there, because they had, like, crazy, like, plants from all over the country, or all over the world, I should say. It was super green and lush, and it was beautiful. They eventually get up to the house, and, you know, Ryan's mom gets out of the car, and, you know, her sister gets out, and they kind of embrace each other, because I don't think they've seen each other in person ever since they had the falling out over the wedding. So now at this point, you know, Ryan gets out, and he sees Ben. And Ben's kind of just looking at him, and Ben isn't, like, looking, like, disgusted or anything. He's like, oh, no, how did the Poors break through our gate? Mother, shoot him now. He isn't, like, doing anything crazy like that. However, he isn't looking, like, that excited to see him. But then again, he's still, like a 13-year-old kid. Like, he's still a kid, and Ryan being 16 is significantly older, right? So he can't be like, wow, why isn't this 13-year-old, like, showing his best behavior and manners? Like, yeah, it's not great, but the kid was 13, so it doesn't really matter. So Ryan goes up to him. He's like, hey, Ben, it's been a while since I've seen you. And Ben's like, yeah, like, it's been a second. Good to see you again. And Ryan's like, all right, this kid seems nice enough, whatever. And after Ryan's mom and her sister, right, are done, like, embracing for the first time in 2 years, you know, they're like, oh, like, Ryan's sister, like, Ryan's mom's sister. I'm just going to say Ben's mom from here on out. Ben's mom's like, oh, you guys should come inside, like, bring your stuff in, whatever, right? So they go inside the house, and let me just say, the house has, like, 4 floors to it. It's a crazy epic house. They got a massive pool and water slide in the back. It's, like, just an awesome house, right? So they get in there, and the guest floors are on like the 4th floor. So Ryan's like walking up all the floors, and he's just like, oh my God, is this a house or a hotel, bro? Like, I swear to God, like you could have the entire like city and like, you could have my entire neighborhood live in this house and there'd still be a bedroom left over at this point. So they got up to the final floor, they put their stuff in there, and they walk down. And yeah, at this point, you know, Ryan's mom is talking with Ben's mom because they had kind of had like 2 years at this point of like not speaking to each other. So they had at least 2 years of catching up to do, right? So at this point, Ryan's mom's like, hey, Ryan, how about you just go catch up with Ben, your little like cousin or whatever? And Ryan kind of gives a look to his mom of like, bro, like, dude, like we all know what this kid is like. Because Ryan, while being fine going on this trip, right, wasn't necessarily trying to spend an exorbitant amount of time with his little cousin Ben, because he still had an assumption that he was pretty spoiled. But Ryan's mom kind of gives him a death stare of a do what I say or you will explode at 3 a.m, you know, and he's like, okay, fine, whatever. So Ryan walks over and like, or goes over to Ben, and Ben's like, yeah, come up here, I'll show you my room. So Ben opens up his door, and like, sure enough, his room is like, Ben's room is pretty awesome. There's like everything that a kid could ever want. You got on like one desk, you got an Xbox, you got a PC with a massive monitor, and it's like, you know, it's an expensive PC, right? You got the Lego Death Star, which was fire. I had Lego Star Wars a little bit back in the day. I was more of a Star Wars action figure guy than a Lego guy, but even I could admire like a Lego Star Wars, like a Death Star. Like, I know how crazy those are. Yeah, but anyways, just looking around the room, there's literally everything that like a kid could want. And that's when Ben's like, dude, come over here. So Ron's like, all right, what's up? He walks over, and Ben opens up his closet door. And sure enough, there's like a massive shoe rack. So Ben apparently is like almost like a hype beast shoe collector. So you already know that this kid is the worst. I'm playing. If any of you guys like that stuff. I had a stint where I really, or like a very small period of time where I was like, oh my God, if it has a Supreme logo on it, it's awesome. So like I fell down that trap too, but like I was broke, bro. Like I was a kid. I didn't have any money. So the most hype beast thing I had were Supreme socks. Yeah, I unironically bought those because I was like, oh, I'm going to be cool now. I'm going to get all the ladies. Let me just say that was not the case. Unfortunately, I really thought that for a second. And also, by the way, I said a couple videos ago, if we got 1,000 likes in like a day, that I would tell you guys about the way I asked out my 8th grade girlfriend, which might be literally, it's worse than any story I've ever told on here. I'm not even kidding you. And I'm sticking to my word. I will be doing that because I got 1,000 likes in like 5 hours or something crazy. So thank you again. I'm just going to be doing that a little bit later. I'm going to be doing it when I think the time is right, but I will now be doing it. So you guys have unlocked the cringiest story on planet Earth. I kind of hate you guys for that, but also thank you for the likes. Yeah, but anyways, so, you know, Ben is like, dude, take a look at these. And he pulls up like the Supreme Off-White Fear of God super sneakers with the tags or whatever and the box logo, and he just like pulls up this like pair of shoes that are low-key kind of ugly, and he's like, dude, guess how much these are? And Ryan already knew that this was going to be where things went downhill, because the spoiled kid is literally saying just like, oh, guess how expensive these shoes are, right? And, you know, Brian doesn't really want to play that game, but he's like, whatever. He's like, I don't know, man, like $100, because like, bro, like, Ryan just didn't involve himself anywhere in this world. And at this point, the spoiled kid, a.k.a. Ben, his cousin, starts literally maniacally laughing. Like, the kid is like an anime supervillain, bro. He's just laughing like he knows something. He's laughing like, I don't know, he has an evil plot. This kid is laughing like he's the Joker in Batman, bro. Like, it's ridiculous. And Ryan's like, what? And Ben's like, these go for $1,200 at retail. And Ryan's like, dude, why would someone pay $1,200 for shoes? And that's when Ben looks down at his shoes and says, I don't know, but why would someone even pay $10 for those stinkers? And he literally points at Ryan's shoes, which are like, dude, they're like Nike shoes. Like, they're very standard, normal shoes, right? I mean, yeah, sure, they're a little bit beat up, and that's for sure, right? However, they're very standard shoes. Like, I got some like Nike shoes on right now, and yeah, these things are really worn. Like, the bottoms are basically falling off. However, they work, bro. Like, they're solid shoes. They do the job. And kind of Ryan's looking at him like, bro, shoes are shoes, man. Like, as long as they're not doing damage to your feet and like you can walk in them properly, what's the point? And Ben's like, what's the point? The point is that they're expensive. And Ryan's like, well, I guess we got to agree to disagree about what's important in a shoe. And Ryan's like, or Ben's like, wait until you see this. My prized possession. He pulls out like, I don't know, some other shoe. And it just looks ridiculous to Ryan. Because it's like Yeezy Supreme Bape collaboration shoe for $25,000 million. And, you know, and Ben's like, oh, and this one, guess how many of your shoes you'd have to like sell to get one of these shoes? Like Ben literally uses the metric of how crappy Ryan's shoes are in his mind in comparison to how epic his shoe is. He's like, how many of your poor person shoes would you have to sell to have one of my expensive shoes? Like literally being the worst ever. And in Ryan's mind, he's like, look, I knew that this kid was probably going to be a spoiled brat, right? But bro, this is a whole new level. Like, this is a whole new level of entitled kid, right? Like, this is a whole new, like, this is like, oh my, this is out of this world, bro. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment spoiled down below. Spoiled will be the secret word of the day. I'll try and heart a bunch of comments to say spoiled. So if you're trying to farm some hearts on the channel, make sure to comment spoiled down below and I'll heart as many as I can. And also, if you want to support the channel, the best way you can do so is by watching this video all the way till the end. And then after that, when you guys have the time, if you do want to binge watch the old videos, you can either go to the playlist, which I'll leave in the pinned comment down below, which has all my videos, or just go to whatever YouTube recommends. Please let me know in the comment section if you're watching a bunch of my old videos. It really supports the channel. I'll try and heart and reply to those comments to say thank you. Anyways, let's get back to the story, right? So Ryan's just sitting in the shoe closet with his little cousin, and his little cousin's like, oh, and this hoodie over here goes for $1,200. How much does your hoodie go for? First of all, Ryan wasn't even wearing a hoodie. He was wearing like a Hanes t-shirt, which, I mean, it works, right? Hanes t-shirt's a Hanes t-shirt. It does the job, and it looks fine. And like at this point, like Ben is like, dude, show me the tag, like show me the label on that. And Ryan's like, dude, it doesn't really have a label. It's like a Hanes t-shirt. And Ben's like, you mean Hanes X Supreme collab? And Ryan's like, no. Hanes X Bathing Ape collab? Ryan's like, no. Like Hanes X Hanes collab, bro. Like no collab there. And Ryan's like, wait, you mean it's a normal? Or Ben's like, wait, you mean it's a normal Hanes t-shirt? Dude, is this like joking? Dude. If you're trying to be funny right now, you are hilarious. I'm just going to let you know. That was very funny. You're like entertaining me more than anyone else my mom has ever paid to entertain me. And Ryan's just like, what the frick, dude? Like, what is this kid on? Like, whatever drug, whatever substance this... I can't say these things. YouTube, don't be mad. Whatever this kid is on, bro, I'm trying to smoke some of that too. I can't be saying any of this. YouTube's going to be big mad at me. But anyways, right, so eventually he's called down by his mom, and they sit down and they have dinner. And of course, Ben's parents have Ben has a personal chef, which, by the way, if you have any of these things that like that the spoiled kid has, that doesn't mean anything bad against you. It's like you got a lucky hand in life. Like, as long as you don't let that go to your head, you're chilling in my book, because like you couldn't really control that either way. So I have nothing intrinsically against you. But if you're acting like Ben, then like, bro, you're kind of asking for it. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, so when they're down there, like, the personal chef comes out, and he's cooked up, like, some crazy good meal. Like, this meal is super good. It's like, I don't know, it's like this, just imagine, like, some kind of really exotic, fancy meal or something. And the thing is, though, it was a little bit out there. Like, it was kind of like, it wasn't like a hamburger from McDonald's. It was a little bit more complicated than that. So everyone around the table was like kind of excited for this. Like Ryan and Ryan's mom look at each other like, we haven't had a meal this good since ... Oh, wait, the wedding. So it's been like 2 years since the last time we saw these guys. Because I don't know, Ryan's used to like, I don't know, a Chick-fil-A run, some Panda Express, which you can't complain about. But I don't know, when you see this stuff in comparison, you're like, God damn, like this is food. But the thing is, there was one person at the table that was not very happy about it. And it was Ben. And Ben was about to pitch the biggest fit ever. He was like, Garçon, come back here. Okay, I don't know why I called the French chef Garçon, but it seems to be fitting because it's like every like Disney movie has the chef called Garçon, so we're gonna call the guy Garçon. So Garçon, the chef, comes back in. He's like, yes, and Ben's like, this is. He takes a bite of it. He like doesn't vomit it up, but he like spits it back up into his napkin, super like aggressively, like very very clearly trying to make a point that he doesn't like what's being served, which fair, you don't have to like everything. Even if something's like considered a delicacy, that doesn't mean you have to like it, right? That's totally fine. If Ben was to say like respectfully to the chef, like, hey, I appreciate the work you put in here, but at the end of the day, like, I just don't enjoy this type of stuff personally. Like, can you just cook me up some like pasta or something real quick? Like, I apologize, but could you do that? Then that would be totally fine, and I wouldn't have a single thing to say wrong about Ben. However, if you're having the chef come over and you like puke it up into your napkin, dude, that's like spitting in the face of the chef who spent hours and hours doing this. That's mad disrespectful. So the chef, being paid by them, has to hold his tongue, because I'm sure if this was just a normal guy, he would take a glove and slap him in the face. But yeah, he kind of holds his tongue. He's like, all right, Ben, or whatever, would you like something else then? And Ben's like, obviously, I'm definitely not going to be eating this, dude. So sure enough, the chef takes it away and he like whips him up some. He just like Grubhubs McDonald's or something. I don't know, man. Something that Ben would like. And Ryan and his mom kind of look at each other like, what the heck is going on here, bro? Like, this kid is crazy. And Ryan's kind of giving his mom a look of like, bro, I told you this kid was spoiled. I told you this kid was spoiled, bro. Like, I told you. Yeah, but anyways, so the next day comes around, and they're just chilling, and it's like kind of a hot day out. So Ryan's mom, or Ryan's sister, aka Ben's mom, says, "Hey boys, how about you get changed into your swimming trunks or whatever? You go out in the back." And in all fairness, Ryan was actually pretty excited to go out in the back because like it did seem pretty awesome. He's not gonna lie, like it was a whole. I don't know. It was a whole, like, water park back there. So Ryan's not going to lie to you guys and say that he wasn't at least a little bit excited to go back there. So he gets in his trunks and, he goes out. At this point, right, Ryan's like, wow, this thing's amazing. Because it wasn't just a big pool. It was like a pool with a slide, but the slide was, like, terraformed to make it look like, I don't know, it was like a mountain and you were sliding down a mountain and there was like fake palm trees all around. It was like really beautiful and really pretty and really awesome. And Ryan was kind of excited, right? So he was having a good time. And about 30 minutes later, after Ryan was done kind of messing around on everything, both Ben and Ryan sit on like sun chairs or whatever to kind of chill in the sun and dry off. So at this point, Ryan was actually having a really good day, and he was like, okay, in his head, he was like, yeah, Ben was kind of a butt yesterday. However, today, he seems to be chilling, which is pretty cool, and like I can respect that, right? And almost as soon as Ryan is done thinking that exact thought, Ben opens his mouth and once again says something pretty out of pocket. So Ben opens his mouth and he says, like, "You're welcome for me letting you stay at my awesome house." Which, like, what, bro? Why would you say that? Like, yes, it is implied. Like, it would be nice if at the end of the trip, Ryan, it would actually be very courteous if Ryan was to say, "Thank you for letting me stay at your house." But to tell someone, like, "I bet you're super thankful that I'm letting you stay at my house," bro, that just defeats the whole purpose, bro. Like, obviously they're thankful. And even if they're not thankful, it would be the polite thing for them to say that. But that's on them to say it. That's not on you to force it out of them. Like, that's just some goofy behavior right there. So, yeah, Ryan kind of just looks at Ben and says, yeah, man, because, he's having a good time. But he definitely felt it was super weird that Ben was to say that to him. So he's like, yeah, man, like, I appreciate it. I do. And that's when Ben goes on to say, like, must be nice to have a break from your little tiny hut that you live in somehow, which was just the most condescending sentence you've ever heard. Like, imagine someone, like you're at someone's house and they're like, "You're welcome for, like, getting you out of that little hut, that little broom closet, that little Harry Potter under the stairs closet that you call a house, bro." Like, dang, dude. Like, the thing is, too, like, Ryan's house wasn't that bad. It was like one story, but he had his own room. There was a kitchen. There was a TV. There was a couch. What else could you want, dude? Like, legitimately, what else could you want? Sure, he didn't have 17 floors, an elevator, a pool, a Disneyland in his backyard or whatever. However, he had a good family, and he had a bed, he had a roof, he had a kitchen counter or whatever. He was chilling. So he kind of, like, ignores this comment. Ryan kind of, like, laughs a little bit to try and laugh it off because it was kind of an awkward situation. He's not going to lie. But, yeah, the kid actually continued on and is like, Ben's like, dude, like, I've been thinking about this recently. How do you actually live in those kind of situations? Like, I've seen some documentaries on TV. It's like, when my parents donate to those, like, organizations, does, like, a little bit of that go to you? Which, Ryan's low-key trying to hold his composure. He's not even mad. He's legit not even mad. He just thinks it's funny. It's just funny. Like, bro, are you serious right now? Like, are you real? The charities that are helping, people that are in, like, food insecure or in countries that don't have as good of, like, a support system, bro, like, you're grouping me in with them? Like, just because I can't go to, like, Fiji every 2 weeks, dude, are you serious? So yeah, Ryan is just kind of looking at him. He kind of laughs it off or whatever. And nothing really else happens for the rest of the day. So on the third day, the next day, Ryan and Ben's mom decide that they want to go in and they want to go to, like, the whatever center and shop or whatever. And, Ryan and Ben, they had the option of staying in the house, which low-key Ryan was like, dude, I don't want to go shopping in some women's stores, bro. I'm not trying to do that. Like, I'm not trying to sit around in the chairs that are meant for the husbands, like, dude, I'm not trying to do that. Because, Ryan, he brought his computer. Maybe he was trying to watch some Netflix, maybe trying to play some games or something. But obviously, right, Ben is like, wants to go to the Hypebeast store, the shoe locker store and buy all the shoes in there or something. And, Ryan's mom's like, Ryan, since, you don't get to see your little cousin that often, you should come along too. And Ryan, once again, gives a look to his mom like, bro, are you trying to make me hate myself? Like, do you hate me as an individual? Like, what's the word on this, bro? Like, are you trying to set me up right now? But yeah, Ryan has to show up as well, whether he likes it or not. And so Ben and Ryan, they're separated from the parents. The parents are like, all right, we're going to go this way. You boys shop wherever you want. And so Ben is like, all right, follow me, dude. And he brings them to, like, the Hypebeast, super expensive, whatever store. And, yeah, so, they get in there and, Ryan's looking around a little bit. He sees this one shoe that he thinks is kind of sick. He's like, these are kind of like, these are kind of fire. Like, I actually could, like, pull these off. And he picks it up and he looks at the bottom and it's like $60. He's like, oh, hell nah, bro. I'm not trying to drop $60 on this. And like, Ben turns around. He's like, are you going to get those? And Ryan is like, no, I don't think I am. And Ben's like, why? I think they look good on you. And Ryan wasn't really trying to say, oh, they're $60. I don't feel like spending that. Because he knew that, like, Ben was definitely going to have an out-of-pocket comment. And sure enough, like, Ryan eventually is kind of pushed into the corner because Ben's like, I think they look good on you. Ryan's not going to lie and say that they wouldn't because they obviously were going to look pretty fire on him. So he ends up saying, like, yeah, I just don't know if I want to drop $60 on it. And Ben comes up with the most out-of-pocket comment you've ever heard. He's like, well, I mean, bro, if you just grinded like I did, if you just worked harder, you would have definitely been able to afford that. And Ryan just turns around. He's like, dude, what? So Ryan's been holding it in pretty well, but at this point, he's like, nah, this is crazy. So sure enough, Ben keeps on going on like, yeah, I mean, I'm super hardworking, and for that reason, I can literally get anything I ever want, like at these stores. Like, that's what all this stuff I was showing you. Dude, I wasn't just flexing. I was trying to inspire you. Which Ryan was like, bro. Come on now. You were trying to inspire me by flexing those shoes your parents bought you. And he basically says, like, I don't understand. And, Ben goes on to say, well, because I'm working so hard, I wanted to show you what the fruits of my labor looked like. And the thing is, right, it's not like, I don't know, Ben had some, like, secret business, some drop shipping business or something, or he ran a chain of lemonade stands or something like that. Bro legitimately just, like, played, like, Call of Duty and, like, collected shoes. He just had credit card access to his parents' card, who really just didn't care how much he spent on it at this point. So, like, Ryan was just like, oh, man, like, that's kind of ridiculous. However, there was one thing that, like, this kid, Ben, dude low-key messed up. Bro low-key messed up, bro. Because here's the thing. Ben's mom and Ryan's mom and Ben's mom, they were done shopping at whatever, and they wanted to go and get lunch. So they were walking in, and, you know, Ben's mom's like, oh, I know the guys are definitely in that store over there, because it's like the one store that Ben is always wanting to go to. So Ben's mom and Ryan's mom walk in, and they're walking up, and they can't seem to find the kids. However, Ryan and Ben were like one aisle behind them. So when Ben starts talking, Ryan's mom and Ben's mom are like, oh, that's where they are. But the thing is, right, they stop, like, Ben's mom at least stops walking over when he hears her son talk, when she hears her son talking, and Ben's mom hears everything that Ben says. So after that little conversation, you know, Ben and Ryan are like, or Ryan's like, it's probably getting around lunchtime, should we find the parents? And as soon as he says that, Ben's mom and Ryan's mom, they kind of like burst out from behind the scenes. And you know, Ryan's like, oh, how long have you guys been here? And Ben's mom literally says, long enough. Like, Ben's mom was not having it right now. She was not happy at all. And, like, Ryan was kind of confused. He was a little worried that, like, I don't know, his mom and, like, Ben's mom got another, like, fight or whatever, or just disagreed over something again. So he's kind of like, oh, geez, like, what's going on now? And that's when Ben's mom, instead of being mad at Ryan's mom or Ryan, goes immediately to Ben. And it's just I overheard everything you said to Ryan, like, just a second ago. And Ben's like, what? About, like, how I'm trying to inspire him? Because, like, low-key, Ben didn't see anything wrong in what he was saying, which at this point, you guys might be blaming Ben, and I totally understand where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, kid is 13. At that age, you're really just molded by your parents at that point. So the fact that Ben was, like, trying to inspire Ryan by flexing and telling him to work harder, bro, was just because that was just the aura / energy / parenting that, like, his parents gave off to him, right? I mean, you're shaped by your parents when you're that young. But Ben's mom was not having it. She was like, I don't understand how you could possibly think that, you know, calling out Ryan for not spending that much money on shoes will inspire him. And Ben's like, well, if he worked as hard as me, he'd be able to spend like I do. So I'm just trying to, like, inspire him to work as hard as me. And that's when, like, you know, because here's the thing. Sure, Ben's mom was a little bit, like, living on a different planet since she kind of had unlimited money too. But she grew up as a sister with Ryan's mom. And they grew up in a household where money was much tighter. So even though Ryan's mom or Ben's mom right now might have been a little bit delusional at some points, and especially, you know, when she called out Ryan's mom for giving her a cheap present, that was probably, like, a little bit of delusion plus wedding day nerves. But she still had enough context, enough life experience, and real-world understanding to understand how crazy of a statement that was. So she goes on to, like, berate the spoiled kid, basically saying, like, I don't understand what you mean work harder, like your dad and I have mistakenly given you unlimited access to our credit cards. We thought that would make you, like, a better kid for some reason, or just make you happy, but it seems like it's turned you into, like, an ungrateful, spoiled brat. Like, what do you mean that you've been working, like, so hard or whatever? And Ben tries to justify that, like, that one time that he cleaned his room was, like, why he has, like, $100,000 to spend. And Ryan's mom, the entire time, are kind of looking at each other, especially after the spoiled kid tries to justify why he can spend $1,000 on shoes every single day was because he cleaned his room once, and that was literally the epitome of grind set, and he's grinding, and that's, like, his hard work. Hard work pays off or whatever, right? And at this point, Ben's mom realizes that she messed up, that this is low-key on her, and that she's got to take a, like, quick, evasive parenting maneuvers to try and fix the situation. So she informs, like, Ben that, you know, the money he'll be spending from this point on will be 100% due to his, like, hard work or anything, and that he will be able to have the opportunity to get money from hard work by jobs around the house that she'll be paying out, and that he no longer has access to their credit cards. Ben immediately, right, and here's the thing. Like, I know for a fact that, like, Ben's mom was going to be like, hey, tie your shoes, here's $25,000, or, oh, go cut the grass for $1 million. Like, okay, maybe not that extreme, but she was definitely not going to be like, okay, if you work in the yard for 9 hours, I'll give you $10. That's low-key how it normally goes for 99.99% of kids, if their parents are even going to pay them. Like, most parents are like, dude, you have to clean, like, you clean the house, clean the, like, yard, do all this. We're not going to pay you, dude. Like, you're living under our roof. Like, you should be doing it either way. But you know for a fact that, like, Ben's parents were going to give him a ton of money for doing nothing. However, even though that was totally the case, Ben starts having a meltdown in the store because his parents cut him off from his credit card. Or not his credit card, cut him off from their credit card. He's like, that's so unfair. Like, you know that one of my hobbies is collecting expensive shoes. How on earth do you think I'll be able to keep up that hobby? Like, that makes me really different. Don't you care about college applications or something? Which, like, funny that, like, this kid who's 13 is, like, trying to leverage him buying expensive shoes as something that would get him into college. Yeah, right, bud. At this point, might as well just say that, like, you're a spoiled brat on your college application letter at this point. But anyways, he keeps, like, ranting on, and Ben's mom is yelling at him, like, you can't change my mind. Like, I know I created this monster, but I'm gonna fix you too. And he's like, you can fix me by giving me unlimited access back or whatever. And Ben's like, well, I still have the credit card and you're not gonna be able to take it back. So after he says that, like, Ben's mom literally calls up, like, the bank or whatever while they're standing there and says, hey, I want you to cancel card number, and says whatever, right? And Ben starts, like, crying in the middle of the store, like, Mom, no, you can't cancel that, Mom, no, please, like, I'm not a spoiled kid, I promise I'll show you. He's, like, having a full-on meltdown. Ryan is very, very, very uncomfortably sitting there, just kind of like, oh my God. Like, what am I supposed to do in this situation, bro? Like, I seriously don't even know what's going on. Like, what do I do, right? And after about 20 minutes of, like, Ben crying or freaking out or whatever, they all decide to just go back home at this point. And for the rest of the days, it's actually not a bad time. However, Ben is in the worst mood ever. Like, you come downstairs and you'd be like, how's it going? And he'd be like, terrible, I hate everything, and then storm back upstairs. But other than that, they had really good food and they went to some really cool places. And afterwards, on the car ride back, Ryan's mom was like, my sister's actually, like, a really cool person now. I think she was just going through a phase. And Ryan's like, well, unfortunately, Mom, I can't say the same for Ben. And Ryan's mom's like, yeah, I guess he wasn't as good as I was hoping he would be. And Ryan very jokingly says, hey, Mom, do you want to give me unlimited credit card access to your account? And she's like, yeah, that sounds like a great way to raise my child. They both kind of laugh and they drive back home. And moral of the story is just don't be a spoiled kid, bro. That's all I'm trying to say. Spoiled rich kids think that they deserve everything. And when they don't get their way, they'll usually throw a fit. And in this case, by throw a fit, I mean commit frickin' arson, bro. Yeah, this story is absolutely crazy, so buckle up and let's just get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Ryan. So anyways, this was going to be Ryan's first time ever going to sleepaway camp. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to sleepaway camp before, but it's almost like a little bit of not a rite of passage, but it's your first time for a lot of kids being out of the house and away from their parents for more than one day. They might have had something like a sleepover before this, but sleepaway camp is kind of like the next level, right? And so anyways, Ryan definitely was going to have a very unique sleepaway experience, as you guys can probably already tell by the title of this video. So anyways, Ryan and his parents are, driving up to the camp or whatever. It's like camp something, and, he's driving up. And he's kind of like, I'm a little nervous about this. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. And Ryan's mom's like, Ryan, you have nothing to worry about. Your father and I went to this camp when we were kids. That's actually the first time we met. I mean, basically, Ryan's parents met the first time at the sleepaway camp. And then they didn't see each other for like 6 more years. And then they met again. And then they eventually got in a relationship. So it was very special to them. And they were really insistent that their son Ryan go to it as well, because they were both hesitant, but their parents forced them and they thought it was a great experience. And they want their son to have the same thing. So they drive up and they get there and they start walking towards it. And Ryan's parents are reminiscing about the good old days or whatever. And they're like, oh, I remember oh, the dining hall looks just the same. Like, I remember, like, we met each other and we sat under that tree, like, on our first night, or I don't know, like, stuff like that, right? So Ryan's walking in and, he's a little nervous and he's looking at all these, like, families around with, like, you got the parents and their kids, and there's a lot of nervous energy and chatter going on, as you'd expect in the first day of an event like this. So anyways, they walk up to the table where the person that kind of like the administrates or whatever is like, oh, like, hey, buddy, what's your name? And Ryan's parents is like, this is Ryan, last name. And they're like, oh, Ryan, last name. Okay, let me look. Ah, yes, you're in cabin B. So anyways, feel free to walk over there right now. I think some kids are already in the cabin. You'll meet your counselor that you're going to be kind of like paired with the whole time. And yeah, Ryan, it's going to be a great experience. I know you enjoy it. And he's like, all right, like, okay. So anyways, Ryan and his parents, they're bringing his like backpack or whatever, or a suitcase, going over to the cabins. And, Ryan's dad is like, oh my God, Ryan, like, I totally forgot. They must have renamed it. Like, they used to have different names for these cabins, but this used to be my cabin. Like, that's so awesome, whatever, right? So they go up there, they knock on it, the door's opened, and, sure enough, the camp counselor or the counselor that is, like, with them is like, oh, what's up, dude? Like, you must be Ryan, right? And Ryan's like, yeah. He's like, all right, all the other kids are already here. Come inside. So Ryan walks in with the parents, and he sees all the other kids, like, unpacking their stuff, sitting on the bunk beds or whatever. And the guy's like, all right, Ryan, this is your place right here. So he sits down, and right across from him is a kid that we're going to call Ben. Ben is the spoiled kid. Little does Ryan know that this is about to be one of the craziest weeks of his entire life, right? Little does he know this is about to be one of the most insane weeks of all time, partially thanks to Ben. So anyways, Ryan starts introducing himself to all the other kids, and Ryan's parents eventually are like, all right, and we're going to go. So Ryan hugs them goodbye, whatever. And so on the first, like, before, like, because they got there around like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, so it's getting a little bit late, but they're talking with each other. Ryan's starting to get to know the other kids. He seems to really like them at first. And so anyways, eventually, it's dinner time. They all go as a cabin to get dinner together, and one of the camp counselors says, hey, guys, or the counselor that's, like, with cabin B. He's like, hey, guys, so tonight's actually really special. I know that all you guys are new, and I just want to let you know that, like, tonight will be a lot of fun, wink, wink. So everyone was like, they got a little excited. They're like, oh, what's happening tonight? And so let's skip ahead to then. They're all in their cabins, right? And it's getting kind of late. It's like 9 at night, so they're kind of thinking, oh, is nothing really going to be happening tonight or whatever? And they see the camp counselors, like, constantly checking his phone. I'm assuming that he's talking to the other camp counselors or other staff members, because it was like a no phones policy except for staff members, and they were set, like, it was like kind of a rule that the staff members could really only be using their phone to communicate with other staff members. They couldn't just be going on like TikTok or Instagram or something like that. So anyways, he sees that, like, Ryan sees that this guy's checking his phone a lot. And that's when Ryan hears a horn from very far away. It's like one of those blow horns that, like, I don't know, you could make. It's not like an industrial horn, but it's one that you'd, like, blow into and make a really loud noise. And, like, he hears a faint horn sound in the distance. And the camp counselor's like, all right, guys, that's a signal. Everyone get up. So everyone gets up, and they kind of, like, they don't go single file, but they exit the camp cabin in, like, a group or whatever, and it's dark outside, and they see other groups of kids walking out as well, and the horn is blaring. They hear this horn in the very far distance, and all the groups of, like, cabins, so cabin A through X, or I don't know how many cabins, right? They're all walking towards the woods. And as they walk closer towards the woods, they see a faint, burning glow inside the woods. And they all get excited, and they hear drum beats, like, bum, 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 bum. And then there's the horn, like, a meow, meow, and they all start walking in. It's really cool atmosphere, right? So they're all walking in, and they're just, like, they hear the drum beats, whatever. And they see, like, a big roaring fire, and they're all instructed to sit around it, right? And Ryan already knows that this is going to be something special. So anyways, the leader of, like, the camp counselor leader, I'm just going to say the president of the camp. I think there's, like, an actual real name, but we're just say president of the camp. So, she gets up there, and after all the groups have kind of settled around, the drums stop and the horn stops. And she's like, all right, attention, everyone. Welcome back to camp. I don't know. We're going to call it Camp Tree. That's a lame name, but okay, whatever. Welcome back to Camp Tree. This is our 223rd or like 115th year, very old camp, whatever. This is our 115th year of operation, and we're commencing the 116th semester, whatever. And everyone cheers, and Ryan's kind of clapping, looking around, like, all right, this is really cool. And the camp president is like, as the recurring kids know, but that we have a tradition every single year. But it's time for me to introduce it to the new kids. I would like to welcome you to not only the 116th year of operation, but this is the 50th year of the Camp Tree Games. And everyone starts cheering, and obviously, Ryan doesn't know what's going on, but he's like, oh, the Camp Tree Games? That sounds pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, since it's the 50th year, that's really prestigious. She's like, I'll go over very quickly. Throughout this week, at certain events, you will be challenged with different activities, and you will be awarded points based on your, the effectiveness of, or how well you complete them. By the end of the week, whoever has the most points as an individual will win the Camp Tree Cup, and you will forever be etched. Your name will forever be etched in the sacred wall or something. And she references there's this wall in where the cafeteria is, and when Ryan went in there, he saw this big wall that has all these names etched into it. And she's like, and especially if you win the 50th, that's a little extra prestige, as 50th is it's more memorable than 42nd or something, right? So she's like, a lot of pressure for who's gonna win this year. And, so Ryan is sitting there, and he's sitting next to Ben, the spoiled kid, right? And the spoiled kid's where Ben's like, dude, I really want to win that. I really, really want to win that, man. I really want to win that. And Ryan's like, yeah, it'd be pretty cool. So Ryan didn't have any expectations of winning it. He honestly was just this is a really cool environment. I'm just happy to be here, bro. But he's like, yeah, obviously if I won, that'd be awesome. But I don't expect it because, I don't know, he's new. So eventually, the ceremony ends, and they're like, all right, campers, the games start officially today. The games have officially started. Your first task will be tomorrow. Go get some rest. So they're all walking back, and there's all this kind of excitement, jitters in the air, and I don't know. It's a really cool environment. It's really sick. And so Ryan and the Ben are actually talking about it a lot. And Ryan's not super I gotta win this, but Ben is really, I gotta win this. His mentality is I win this or bust. There is no in between at the moment, bro. Yeah, so sure enough, Ben is just really going on about how much he needs to win this and how this is so important. And Ryan doesn't think that much of it. He at least doesn't think that, you guys have read the title of the video. Things got pretty crazy, or the spoiled kid has a very bad reaction to potentially not winning, right? But Ryan doesn't realize how serious he is about winning, right? So they get back to the cabin, and the camp counselor comes around. He's like, boys, I just want to let you know, it would be cool if someone here won the cup because, us counselors do kind of have a little competition of whose cabin's going to have the cup winner. So no pressure, but it would be pretty cool. But also, guys, remember, there's 200 kids at this camp. Just have fun. And if you happen to score number one, that's great. No pressure, wink, wink. But if you do win, that would be really cool because I may or may not have a bet with the other counselors for $50 for who has a kid who wins the cup. So no pressure, but I'm just saying it would be pretty cool. So with that, they go to bed. Next day, they wake up super excited, super energized. It's just a really cool environment. And anyways, so they don't only do camp games, right? There's 3 official events. There's 3 official games, which kind of puts a lot of pressure on each game. But also in between that, it is a sleepaway camp. So they spend a lot of time just doing non-camp game activities. So I don't know, learning how to, you go into for example, Ryan on his first day was put into a random group of people, no one from his cabin, just randomly, right? And they went out into the woods, and they were given a bunch of sticks, and they said, okay, you're going to learn how to make a lean-to, you're going to learn how to make a shelter if you need to in the woods with literally just sticks. Yeah, this will not be the greatest shelter, but it will keep you sheltered from the rain or any other, I don't know what it's called, any other weather conditions or something like that. And Ryan was able to meet some new people, and he was just genuinely having a really good time. And the only time that at lunch and dinner and breakfast, every single meal, you ate it with your group, your cabin or whatever. Just because they really wanted, look, they want you to bond with as many people as possible, but the camp did believe that, like, you are, like, the best, like, we're only here for a week, and we want you to really bond with some people, so we're going to have you have the most time as possible with your cabin. So you're going to eat with them, you're going to sleep in the same place, like, you live with them, whatever, right? So anyways, at lunch, the spoiled kid, Ben, and everyone there, really, not just the spoiled kid, right? Ben and everyone else, including Ryan, were just going on about, like, they were just asking a million questions to the counselor about the first game. And the counselor's like, guys, I'm sworn to secrecy. Look, I want to help you because I want one of you guys to be the winner. Don't get it twisted, right? But I really can't say anything. I might actually get in trouble if I let you know too much. So they're all trying to, like, ask him, like, tricky questions. Like, they're trying to be like, oh, you don't have to tell us. But if you were going to tell someone, what would you tell them if some random person who didn't go here was asking what the first game was? What exactly would you tell them? And camp counselor is like, dude, I'm not the smartest cookie in the cookie place, but bro, like, I'm not that dumb, dude. So, yeah, they don't really get any good information out of him, but they have a lot of fun trying to. And they're also not allowed to know when the game is. So they can't even prepare for it. Obviously, they're told that there are 3 games. And some of the games are group games. Some of them, or one game is a group game, which is by cabin. The next game is partner game. And the final game is an individual game. So the idea is kind of like you'll pretty much know off the bat where your rankings are, because, like, if your cabin does really bad, it's going to be really hard to claw back up, but whatever, right? But they're also not allowed to know when these games are. So the first day ends. Like, there's no game on the first day. They're even, like, up at, like, 9, 10 or whatever in their beds, like, all, like, excited or whatever, thinking, oh my God, we might hear the horn, like, the game might happen at any moment now. But no, they eventually are like, oh, okay. It's not. We're going to go to bed. And even the camp counselor, like, knocked on the door. Is like, what are you boys doing up? It's like 11. They're like, what if the game happens? He's like, okay, I'm not supposed to say this, but look, the game's not happening tonight. Go to bed. They're all like, oh, dude, what? So, yeah. Next day comes around, and they have some morning activities. They have breakfast, but they're sitting at lunch. And they're sitting, like, literally, they're halfway through lunch when they hear the horn, and they all drop their forks or whatever. They're like, oh my God, it's the horn, it's the horn. So sure enough, the horn is going halfway through lunch. They all get up, and the counselor for their group is like, is it camp counselor? Yeah, camp counselor, right, is like, oh, all right, guys, like, this is the first activity. This activity we're doing as a group, so follow me. Everyone's super excited. You can feel it in the air. Things are going crazy. Everyone's really excited, and they start walking out, and the first activity is to build a fire in the woods. So they're going in, and each camp counselor for each of the cabins, they have a backpack that's full of, a lighter and some, basically just very few activities, but a lighter and a little bit of, like, thinly sliced wood to give, like, a nice little spark or whatever. But yeah, that's it. So they're all led into the woods, and there was, like, other camp counselors that would be assigned to your group that would score you based on a preset score or whatever, and basically every single kid in the group would get the exact same score, but one of them maybe could get a bonus point, but that one bonus point really wouldn't change that much. So they get out there, and the spoiled kid is super, super intent on, guys, we must win. We must be the best. And, Ryan is trying to win, but he's also trying to have fun, and he also doesn't really know. I mean, bro didn't come out the womb knowing how to make a fire, dude. Like, chill out a little bit. So they're doing their best. They're in the woods, and they can kind of see, like, the other groups, but the other groups are far enough away in the woods that it's just kind of hard to see what they're doing. But I guess you could kind of see what they're doing, but not really, right? So they're going in there, they're getting wood, they're putting stuff together. And at one point, Ryan puts down a log on there, or a piece of, like, a stick or whatever, or I guess it was kind of thick, it was kind of closer to a log, on their fire. And the fire hadn't been lit yet, so it's just a pile of tinder at this point. And the log was kind of waterlogged, so it probably wasn't a good idea to put it on there. But instead of the spoiled kid, Ben, just being like, oh man, I think that's not a good log, he's like, dude, are you trying to, like, sabotage us? Are you working for the other team? And, like, everyone in the cabin just, like, looks at Ben and they're like, chill the frick out, bro. And Ryan's like, dude, sorry, I didn't see that this, like, log wasn't that good. I was putting something on. He's like, bro, well, pay closer attention next time because all of our points are on the line. And even the camp counselor is like, Ben, like, chill out, man. It's not that serious. He's like, it's that serious to me, dude. You don't get it. So anyways, they eventually get something together. They light it on fire, and they do get a fire, right? And they score the second highest points. So everyone, except for one person, everyone is super happy with the result. They're all like, dude, we got the second highest. That's awesome. Like, we got a fire going. I heard half the teams couldn't even get a fire going. But, one person wasn't happy, Ben. And at one point, like, kids were starting to realize, or the people in the cabin were starting to realize that Ben was sitting there all grumpy, all upset, all angry. And they're all like, dude, like, what's the deal? Like, what's the word, man? Like, why are you so upset right now? And Ben's like, dude, I'm not settling for second. We should have gotten first. And the camp counselor is like, oh, Ben, like, we did really well, bro. Like, chill out. Like, the other team got first place or slightly more points than us just because they finished a little bit quicker. And Ben looks at Ryan and is like, dude, you putting on that wet log really put us back like 30 seconds. And that 30 seconds was the difference between us winning and, like, us losing. And Ryan's like, okay, bro, I'm sorry. I don't know. And the camp counselor's like, Ben, like, come on now. Like, it's really not that deep. We all did really well. Can we just celebrate from here on out? And Ben's like, I guess, whatever. If you guys want to celebrate being first loser, then whatever, dude. And, like, Ben literally walks back into his room and, like, shuts the door, which his room is, like, everyone's room, so it's a little awkward or whatever. Camp counselor kind of looks at all the other guys, is like, dude, what's his problem? And they just decide to celebrate because it's a win. It's a win. So anyways, the next day comes around, and it's just more kind of activities, whatever. And for all of Tuesday, once again, it's just kind of their own activity. Like, it's just no games, no camp tree games or anything like that. Nothing that makes, like, points or whatever. And also there's a scoreboard so you can see your name or your points versus everyone else. That was posted on there's like a really massive whiteboard. Maybe they put like 6 whiteboards together or whatever. But it was in the cafeteria and it had your name and it had your points next to it just so you could kind of see where you rank next to other people. At the current moment, like, everyone's score was in groups because it was like your group. Basically, every group got the same score. So everyone in cabin 2 was tied for second place, right? But in all reality, they just had the same score. And so sure enough, the next activity was a partner activity, but it wasn't just any partner activity. It was a randomized partner activity, which is always a little tough because you don't know if you're going to get someone who is just going to mess around the whole time or is going to take it as seriously as you or vice versa. Who knows, right? So, it's on Wednesday. It is, it's at dinner, and all of a sudden, you hear the horn again. So the camp counselor for cabin B is like, all right, guys, this is your second game. Like, this is official. So he says, okay, so you guys have all been assigned with random partners. I have a list right here. I'll tell you, like, where your partner is, and I'll tell you where you're supposed to go to make this easy. So all the tables had, like, table A, table B, and that was associated with the cabin you're at. So he basically was like, all right, so Ryan, you're with this guy named Sam, and you're at table C. You can go over there. So all the kids started going to the tables they were sent to, and you were given a randomized partner. Ryan's partner was pretty cool. He was definitely more chill about the competition than Ben was. But, whatever, right? So this next competition was that they had to make the best tool possible in the forge, an iron forge. So this is actually something that I did when I went to sleepaway camp, and it's really cool. It's like you get a piece of, like, a metal rod, you stick it in something really hot, and then you slam it with a hammer, right? It's really cool, actually. And real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment tool down below. I'm trying to make my secret words a little bit more tricky now. You can't just comment spoiled in the first 30 seconds. There's this one guy who gets the secret word, no matter what it is, in, like, literally 30 seconds, and I have no idea how. Also, if you want to listen to this on Spotify, you can. The link is in the pinned comment and description. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, please rate 5 stars. I think it helps. So anyways, the next competition was to make a tools with the iron forge together. And the tools were based on, there's a whole point system where it's like, I don't know, the best I don't even know, man. It's like the most tool looking or the most effective. A lot of points you could get. And also, the points for this event were double the points you could get for the last event. So it didn't like make the last event completely irrelevant, but anyone who got a low score because your team wasn't good kind of had an opportunity to, I don't know, get a better score, right? So anyways, Ryan and this guy, they were definitely chill about it. I honestly think Ryan took the best route about this whole thing because he was really just there just to have fun. He was there just to chill. He was there just to have a good time, man. And honestly, that's the way it's supposed to be. So him and his partner, Sam will say, they just went in there and like they even said to each other, like, I don't really care what our score is. Let's just make something cool. So they go in there. They're having a lot of fun. They shove the metal in the really hot thing, start slamming it into something cool. And what happens is they make it too thin. They make the metal too thin at one point and it breaks off. And Sam's like, oh, dude, my fault. And Ryan's like, bro, I don't care. Like, this is cool. Like, we just instead of making, like, a hammer, we just made a poker. Like, that's awesome, bro. So, yeah, the person comes over. They're like, oh, look at this. And, yeah, so Ryan and Sam did not get a great score. But Ryan wasn't trying to win anyways. He already won, bro. He had a good time. At the end of the day, like, he knew he wasn't going to get first place because he knew that there's people like Ben who are going to sweat their little butts off to get first place anyways. So he didn't really care, dude. So he had a good time. Anyways, so they start walking back to the cabins. It's nighttime, and they sit in there. And Ben is in this most stink of a mood ever. And after about, like, 30 minutes of, like, aggressive silence from him, you know how, like, some people, like, I don't talk all the time. I do talk when I'm with my friends. But there are definitely times where I don't know, I'm either low energy or I just don't have anything to say, but, you're just kind of chilling there. And then there's also times when people, that they're in a bad mood, that they're going to make a big stink over something, and their silence almost is like an aggressive silence. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. Comment if you can. But anyways, so he's just like 30 minutes of aggressive silence, making little grunts, whatever, right? Having this big angry face or something. And so eventually he speaks up. He's like, I got robbed. And everyone's like, what? He's like, I got the worst partner ever. He didn't take the game seriously at all. And he started like tear up a little bit. He's like, I'm not going to win this. And so the camp counselor comes in. He's like, hey, bud, like, look, this happens. Like, it's randomized. You can't choose who you got like a partner, right? You can't choose that. However, I'm not totally supposed to tell you guys details about all these things. I'll let you know a little something to make you guys feel better. For any of you guys who didn't do too well today, and just so you know, the next games, I can't tell you when they are, but they are single person. So it's only you. Your score will depend on your abilities alone. And while this game that you're in with a partner was twice as many points as the first game, well, this single game is going to be 5 times as many points as the partner game. So 10 times as many points as our group game. So yeah, it's always been the case that the third activity really kind of depends who wins anyways. And the first 2 are kind of just to get you to have fun and bond with people. And it really is the last one. But I just thought I'd let you guys know. So almost immediately Ben is like, oh, so I have a chance now, even though I screwed over by everyone else. And obviously, kids in the cabin start looking at each other because he said, oh, when I screwed over by everyone else, meaning them when they got second place. Like, bro, you could have been put in a different cabin and gotten, like, last place, dude. Like, maybe you could have gotten first place, but you could have gotten a much worse score. Second is a decent score, bro. And obviously, like, you don't need to say that, dude. So, sure enough, Ben is in a good mood. He's out of his stink. And 2 days, or not 2 days go by, Thursday. So the next day, actually, I have to make sure I don't accidentally add like 6 days to a week or something, 6 extra days. But anyways, so the next day, it's Thursday. The event happens on Thursday. So at lunch, once again, they hear the horn. And everyone, instead of kind of having that super excited, this is new, this is interesting energy, people almost have a excited yet serious energy. And Ben literally just has an only serious energy, especially table B, because they know that this is like, this could literally make or break if someone wins or not. Like, you could be number 1 from the first 2 activities and it literally wouldn't even matter because this is like 10, so many multiples of points bigger than the other two events, right? So, eventually the camp counselor is like, all right, well, guys, this was actually like, this game was the most fun game. Like the first two games kind of changed depending on the year, but this game actually was like it when I was a camper here. Like we played this as the last game always. This one's really fun. It is a camp-wide hide and seek event, and he basically wanted to say, yeah. So I don't know if I'm supposed to say this either, but basically the winner of this wins the whole thing. So all of a sudden, all the kids were like, oh shoot! So we got a chance now, and so sure enough. They all are instructed to go to the field. There's a big field in the back of the camp. And the president of the camp is like, all right, campers, like this is the final event. And this one is going to be worth 5 times as many points. So she says all the stuff that they were told beforehand. And she said, here are the rules. One of us will be the one who's seeking, one of the counselors. If you're caught, you now seek with us. It's going to move really quickly. We will play 1 round of this. Because we're only playing 1 round, and because we're going to have so many seekers at a certain point, you are allowed to hide anywhere on campus. You cannot hide in a locked room. You cannot hide on top of a roof. You cannot hide in a dangerous place. But other than that, you are allowed to hide anywhere on campus. In an hour from now, we are going to set off this siren. Just if anyone else has not been found yet. If you hear the siren, it's not a trick. Like, you outsmarted all of us. Please come back. Can't leave campus, whatever. It's a huge violation if you do. You already know the campus grounds. If you hear the siren after an hour, that means we'll do something special to decide the winner from there. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't get to that. Go back to your counselors. They're going to give you a little rundown, and then I'm going to blow the horn. And after blowing the horn, you have 5 minutes to find a hiding spot. So obviously, all the kids were pretty excited. Yeah, so they go back to the camp counselor. He tells them, all right, I'm not going to tell you any of the good hiding spots, but there's a lot of good ones around here. And so sure enough, the horn is blown, and they go off and they find a hiding spot. And so they're not grouping up, it's all individual. Ryan finds an okay hiding spot. Like, he knows he's not going to win the game, but it'll be okay. And pretty quickly, Ryan is found. He's like, okay, you got me, cool. So now Ryan is one of the finders. And so it's Ryan and this other kid have kind of grouped up together, and they're going to go around finding people, and they do. And it's kind of like this big, long group of people. So they all walk down they walk into the cafeteria because everywhere on campus is open. Some of the buildings are locked and you can't go in a locked building or whatever, but the cafeteria is open. And Ryan, for some reason, is like, we should check that closet. And they're all like, okay. So sure enough, Ryan opens the closet, and who does he see? He sees Ben, the spoiled kid. And Ben just looks at him with this look of, you destroyed my chances. And Ryan's like, and some other kid is like, oh, found you, dude. All right, come help us. And Ben is like, you didn't find me. He slams the door shut. And they open it again. They're like, no, bro, we did. And he's like, no, you didn't find me. He slams the door shut again. Eventually, a counselor comes around and is like, oh, what's going on here? And they kind of look at him, and they look at the door. So he opens it up, and the counselor is like, all right, dude, we found you. And Ben is about to scream, no, you did. Oh, because then he sees it's not a kid. He sees it's a counselor, so he has to agree. Ben walks out so defeated, so angry. He just doesn't look at anyone. He storms off. He storms off to go do his own thing. Little did anyone know that he was about to do something absolutely crazy. He was storming off to do something insane. So anyways, yeah. So anyways, they're all just kind of they're going around and finding people. And that's when they hear the siren 30 minutes early. They're with a camp counselor, and the camp counselor has been constantly on his phone, right? Constantly on his phone for the last 2 minutes. And they're all like, oh, why are we hearing the siren? Isn't there a little bit more time to go? The counselor's like, yeah, there's been a change of plans. We all need to go to the field again. So they all walk towards the field, and they're just like, this is really weird. I don't know what's going on right now. Why are the games ending early? Is did someone like leave campus and they need to shut down for some reason? Like, it's really weird. They're all standing in the fields, right? So kids are starting to pour in, whatever, right? Kids are saying, I wasn't caught. And like the counselors, normally during the sirens, if the sirens were called, they would have cared. Like they would have listened in and been like, oh, okay, we'll mark your name down. They didn't even care. Like the counselors were not even paying attention to who was it and who was caught and whatever. It's like they had something more important to think about, which in fact they did. Little did anyone know. So Ryan is standing with some guys and they're just talking, being like, what's going on? Like, this is kind of weird. And that's when they hear a kid say, look. And so all the kids turn around and he points at the field and he points really far out at the trees. And they see this like smoke coming out from the forest. And they see little bits of like fire. They think someone like lit like just a normal fire, like in the fire pit. But they see way too much smoke. And they start to realize that there's like a fire going on. And within like, as soon as they realize, it's like the fire trucks come in. And they see the fire trucks come in, which probably took a while because the camp's off the beaten path, right? Fire trucks are coming in. You know, the camp counselors are like, all right, guys, we need to do roll call. You need to get with your groups right now. So everyone starts realizing, okay, this is really serious right now. So Group B is together. There's one kid who's missing from Group B, and it is Ben. And so the camp counselor for Group B is like, calls up like the staff or whatever. It's like, you guys need to come down here. We're missing a kid. And the staff member comes up, whispers something into the counselor's ear, and the counselor's face, it just is like shocked. The craziest face ever, right? He's like, oh my God. And after that, he doesn't care that Ben is missing. So at this point, Ryan realizes, okay, something just happened because this counselor was freaking out that we couldn't find Ben, who's in his group. This woman comes over, says something to him. He looks completely shocked, and now he doesn't care that we can't find Ben. Something happened. So later that night, every kid is picked up. All the parents are grumpy or angry that they have to come a day early because they have to change their plans. The fire was spreading a little bit, but thankfully only 1 or 2 buildings got hit. I think one of the cabins got hit. A lot of trees took damage, but the fire department was able to get in there just in time. Before Ryan left, do you remember his friend Sam? So his friend Sam and I were chilling, Ryan was chilling with some other guys, and his friend Sam came up to him because they were all sitting in the cafeteria, whatever, waiting to be picked up. And Sam's like, dude, you're not going to believe this. So Sam goes on to tell him that through other people and through various reasons, he learned what happened. Basically, Ben, the spoiled kid, was so unbelievably angry that he did not win the number 1 place, that he did not win the cup, Camp Tree Cup or whatever, that he went into the kitchen and he found all the lighters, lighter fluid, everything flammable, anything to make a big middle finger to the camp, basically. Got all the lighting supplies, went into the woods and just doused everything with as much flammable stuff as possible, started lighting stuff on fire, and honestly would have gone on a tear through the entire woods, through all the buildings. That's when he was caught by one of the counselors who was like doing hide and seek or whatever. This counselor apparently, because like some other kids were with the counselor when they caught Ben, that's how the word got around really quickly. And so this counselor apparently like tackled Ben, like straight up tackled him, took the lighter out of his hand, called for backup. It's like, kids, stay back, whatever, right? All these other camp counselors come rushing in, whatever, to this location. They call the fire. Crazy, right? So Ryan never hears from Ben again. Ryan goes back the next year because he loved his experience up until that. And apparently all the kids who went that year got like a bit of a, if you want to come back, we'll give you 10% off type deal. So his parents were like, okay, sure. Maybe there's not going to be another arsonist kid who shows up this time if we're lucky. But Ben obviously was not invited back. But the legend of Ben, the kid who got so mad that he tried to burn down the camp, lives on till this day. So spoiled rich kids tend to think that they deserve everything. And when things don't go their way, they normally get really mad. In this case, the spoiled rich kid gets so mad that he burns down his entire school. Yeah, a little bit of an overreaction. This is an absolutely crazy story, so buckle up and let's get right into it.
And we're crying, crying, crying like
So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Sam. So anyways, there's a spoiled kid. And I'm going to go through the chronicles of everything that happened to the spoiled kid that led up to the point of him wanting to actually and successfully burning down his entire school. Dude, the amount of spoiled kids who commit arson in some way is kind of ridiculous, but it's a good story. So anyways, this all started. Sam was first aware of the spoiled kid because Sam was on the football team at his high school. Sam wasn't the star quarterback or anything, but he was, he'd been playing football for a little bit. He was big enough and, he was solidly on the team. Every single year they had tryouts for the different positions just in case there was kind of a dark horse that they weren't aware of. But most of the time, the coaches knew who was going to be what, and the tryouts were more just to see who would be on kind of like the lower levels of the team that might be able to work their way up next year. But anyways, at the school, at Sam's school, there's a kid who we will call the spoiled kid. The spoiled kid, as every spoiled kid, right, has received everything that they've ever wanted in their entire lives. They've never had to work for anything. They don't understand the value of things or getting something or accomplishments because they just believed because I want something, I should get it. That is genuinely their mentality. And the spoiled kid went into the football tryouts with this exact mentality. So anyways, this all started, this long saga, all started when football tryouts were beginning. So Sam was there, and Sam had been on the team the year before, as this was sophomore year. So Sam last year had to try out, had to put in a lot of effort, but eventually, he got onto the team, and he kind of had a pretty solid place on the team now. Everyone had to go to tryouts, but he kind of knew he was on. On the other hand, there was the spoiled kid. The spoiled kid was not built for football. Dude, I'm not built for football. It's fine. You don't have to be, right? Because, you can be smaller and scrawnier and be on the football team. But, dude, it's just going to be a lot harder because it's a very physical contact-on-contact sport. But anyways, the spoiled kid, not only not being really built for football because maybe your skill and your flexibility and your mobility could get you around that hurdle, he also just didn't play that much. Like, he literally threw the football with his dad, twice and would just sit on the sidelines when his kids would play touch football or tag football or whatever. And dude came in, the spoiled kid, basically what happened was he heard about how the quote-unquote high school quarterback always got the ladies in the movies. He was watching a lot of TV shows and movies over the summer, and he was like, okay, I know what I gotta be. I gotta be the high school quarterback because the ladies love the high school quarterback, man. Therefore, I must be the high school quarterback. So yeah, that's his reasoning. Do you think that he trained, he practiced, he at least understood the rules of football before that summer, before trying to apply? No. He just went in cold knowing that he wanted to be star quarterback, and since he's gotten everything that he's ever wanted before, then he shall receive star quarterback. So anyways, it's finally the day of tryouts, and Sam gets there, and he links up with the coach. He's like, what's good? The coach is like, Sam, great to see you again. Look, these tryouts are just, they're important for everyone to do it. You've got a pretty solid spot on the team, though, but don't slack off. But yeah, don't worry about it, basically. And they get there, and so they're all lined up, and the football coach is like, welcome to the whatever year football season for whatever school, academy, whatever, right? And he's like, these will be the tryouts. We'll let you know how things are shaking up by the end of this week. We will let you know with good, pretty promptly if we don't think you're going to make the team. So we'll make first round cuts by the end of tomorrow, just so you guys have a lot of flexibility to figure out what sport you're playing in the fall, as the school required everyone to either play a sport or do some sort of activity during this time block. And so, yeah. So sure enough, they're all trying out or whatever. And Sam overhears the spoiled kid walk up to the football coach and be like, so, do you guys have an open position for star quarterback? Dude really just said star quarterback. He's really just paraphrasing what he reads on TV. But anyways, the football coach is like, well, actually we have a pretty good quarterback already, but it's really, we're going to put the best person for the position in the spot. So if you really think that, if you're a dark horse and you come out and you're not on our radar and you're much better, then probability of that is pretty low, but, we'd always love to see. The spoiled kid was like, I would like to be the star quarterback. And they're like, okay, well, we'll watch you during practice and we'll let you know if we think that you're in the running. The spoiled kid's like, what was that? I said, like, we're filling out positions, right? So I just want to be star quarterback if that's cool. And I think the coaches started to realize that there's a bit of a disconnect between this kid and, reality, but also the understanding of how this whole process works, which, first of all, just was an immediate red flag to them that this kid did not understand football in the slightest. But beyond that, American football in the slightest, right? But beyond that, they were like, okay, well, the way it works here is that, you'll play and we'll decide who gets what position. And the spoiled kid's like, okay, well, I do want to be star quarterback, but sure, I'll do tryouts or whatever. So I think the spoiled kid thought that, like, oh, well, I just need to do what everyone else does, so it's not obvious that they're just giving me the position. And the coaches are thinking, what on earth is this kid thinking right now? By the way, leave a like and subscribe to the channel or you're a spoiled kid. Yeah. So the actual tryouts, and remember, Sam has overheard all of this. And he thinks it's pretty funny because, he sees the spoiled kid. He knows he's not star quarterback material. And he just knows for a fact that this kid had just been has no idea what football is. Just the way he was interacting with the coaches, he just knew for a fact this kid was not going to get out there and just be obviously great material for star quarterback. At least it was looking that way, right? So sure enough, they get out there and they're doing, look, I didn't play, American football as a teenager. I went to some games, and I actually still go to games right now in college. It's actually quite a lot of fun, even though I don't know what's going on. I know I want the bigger score, and I want the enemy team to have the lower score, something like that. It's not golf. It's not the other way around. So they go through tryouts, whatever that entails, and it is super, super obvious that the spoiled kid has, one, no idea what he's doing, two, no idea how to throw a football, and three, is just probably not even going to make the team. Won't even make the bench, which was it was actually kind of competitive to make the bench. They had a pretty good team, but he wasn't even going to be close to making the bench, which if you're not even close to making the bench, you are not even you're not even the same planet, right? You're not even on the same planet to make star quarterback, bro. That's crazy. So by the end of the day, right, what the coaches said was they were going to tell people at the end of the second day who was making cuts, right? But the coaches just saw such a blatant discrepancy between the ability of the spoiled kid and what he was wanting that they thought it was, kind of important for them to at least let the kid know that things probably were not about to go his way, correct? Things were probably not about to go his way. So Sam overhears the coaches going up to the kid and being like, hey, what was your name again? And he's like, spoiled kid. They're like, oh, spoiled kid. Yeah, not obviously his name, but you know what I mean. And they're like, so, we're watching you out there with your performance. We just want to let you know that, we're happy for you to keep trying out and maybe get on the team. They knew who's not going to get on the team. But they're like, we just think it's really unlikely at this point that you're going to make star quarterback. It's a very difficult position. We're not saying that you will never make it, as maybe if you make the team, you'll be able to make your way up there. But we think you need bit more practice. The spoiled kid's like, I don't understand. I said I wanted the star quarterback position. I asked nicely. And one coach laughs a little bit and then stops laughing when he realizes that this kid isn't joking. The other coach kind of knows right away that this kid he's one of the spoiled kids who's just received everything that he's ever wanted. He's never been told no. And so the coaches have to inform him that simply that's just not how it works around here. That it's not you ask to fill a position and you will fill a position, and it is really a skill-based position, and you will show up and demonstrate your skills to see if the skills, match. And so by the end of it, the spoiled kid was starting to get really mad. He's like, I don't understand. I asked you guys real nice. If I could be star quarterback, and you're saying no. How on earth am I supposed to get all the ladies now? And they're like, son, if your only intention to be star quarterback was to get all the ladies, then maybe being star quarterback in the first place wasn't a good idea. And also, son, if your intention is to get all the ladies, probably not the most efficient way is to dedicate your entire life to American football right now to try and get the 5% chance if you spend all the time from here on out to get star quarterback. There are better ways to go about that at this point in your life. And the spoiled kid was super angry, cursed them out, and stormed off. And the thing is, Sam overheard him, and he was mumbling, they're all against me. They all hate me. Oh, I can't. Sorry, my brain broke. Every other time that I've asked for something, I've gotten it. And now I ask and they're not giving it to me. They're taking this away from me. They are, and then he kind of like goes off mumbling into the distance, right? So this was Sam's first interaction with the spoiled kid. But it simply does not end here. Because the spoiled kid at this point knows that he's not going to make star quarterback, but that doesn't stop him from wanting to ask out the prettiest girl at the school. We're going to call this girl Caroline, right? So Caroline was kind of not notorious means famous with like a bad nut. She was, but she also wasn't famous. I don't know how to say it. She was just well known at the high school as being like the beauty queen, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know if you guys like back in the day had that like one girl in your class you're like, dang, like she's definitely like on top of the food pyramid here. I don't know how else to say it. Sometimes it's not very clear, but sometimes it really is. Like there's that one girl. And right, the other thing is Caroline, that kind of definitely went to her head. She definitely was aware of it, as, you know, just the way that every guy treated you. And, you know, the girls either completely did anything you said or they hated you. At that point, you kind of became self-aware. She became self-aware and used it. Like, she wasn't known as a great person. She was just known as winning the genetic lottery, right? So right off the bat, Caroline was very, very picky. And she was definitely the type that would have only gone for the star quarterback. And if anything, she was just probably already talking to the star quarterback by the time the spoiled kid wanted to get, you know, throw his hat in the ring, right? And yeah, so Sam was like always kind of thought that Caroline was kind of pretty or whatever, but he knew better than to try at this stage in life. He's just like, no, you know, look, the things that she values do not align with me. I'm just not this, she's just not going to say yes to me because I don't have enough clout or whatever stupid stuff, right? High school rules are stupid, but, you know, there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm just going to let it be. However, the spoiled kid did not realize this. Or maybe he did, but he just thought because he's always received everything he's ever wanted, so might as well, you know, ask for this and receive as well. I mean, who knows? Why wouldn't that work? So yeah, the spoiled kid decides that the best way, you know, actually, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a question and answer. So the question is, how is the spoiled kid going to try and basically woo this girl into liking him? A, he is going to make the effort to start to speak to him, and comment down below before you hear it out which one you think it is. A, he's going to make the effort to go and talk to her. He's going to really put in the time to speak to her. He's going to learn about what she likes and craft conversations based off of that. He's going to show his best face forward. He's going to be polite, yet he's going to be consistent and persistent with what he does, with his trying to like talk to her, all that kind of stuff. He is going to be, and then he's eventually going to ask her out on something a little bit more formal, a little bit more formally romantic. I don't know. Go to the movies, get ice cream, something very nice. Or B, he's going to not talk to her at all, but then make a massive scene in front of all of her friends with a big, like, basically he's going to do something crazy and insane. If you answered A, God bless your soul, but no, it is B. Yeah, so sure enough, one day in lunch, the infamous day that will go down in history, Sam is sitting there with his two friends. They're eating whatever. They're probably complaining about the cafeteria food, being like, dude, this sucks, bro. But that's when they see, you know, or not that's when, but he sees that Caroline is sitting with some of her friends. The other two, like the second and third most popular girl, they're all sitting together. And it's very interesting dynamics, but high school dynamics are just weird in the first place. But they're all sitting there, and if you made it this far into the video, comment spoiled down below. Secret word of the day. By the way, I'm on Spotify. I don't know why I say we. These videos are on Spotify. Link is in the pinned comment. And if you're on Spotify, make sure you rate the podcast 5 stars. I think it gets help promote it in the algorithm. I don't know how Spotify works, my friend. I do not know. But anyways, Caroline is sitting with her friends, and that's when the spoiled kid walks in, and he has an electric guitar. You already know that this is about to go south. You already know for a fact that this is not about to go well. The spoiled kid walks in with an electric guitar and a bass boost. So basically, when he plays the electric guitar, it's very loud. And he walks in, and everyone kind of turns their head because it's not every single day that someone walks into the cafeteria with an electric guitar and a bass boost. It's just not every single day that happens. Or an amp or whatever, right? So he walks up, and like Caroline and her table looks over at him, kind of like laughs or whatever, talks to each other. But then Caroline and her table's expression starts to change from poking fun to genuine confusion to moderate terror as he approaches the table, because it becomes more and more clear that he's beelining it right towards their table. So at this point, Sam is starting to realize this as well. And he's like, oh, good heavens. Like, oh, God, bro. Oh, no. Yeah, so sure enough, he stops right outside the table. And he's like, Caroline, I would like a moment of your time. And he's like, at this point, everyone stopped talking. Everyone has turned their heads. And everyone is staring profusely at this. They're just staring at this kid intensely. And he's like, Caroline, will you be mine? It is the worst thing you've ever seen. And I don't know what the rest of the lyrics are. I could totally make them up for you guys. But all I know is it's a lot of poor drum playing. Because here's the thing. Since he's a spoiled kid, he doesn't know how to play guitar. No, that would take time. That would take effort, which is one thing he doesn't know. And it would be so much easier for him to just go in to the guitar shop, buy the most expensive electric guitar, and think, oh, well, I spent a lot of money on it, then it should just play itself. So he's going like, boom, yeah, so that's about what it sounds like. Think of that, but like that's the nice version of what it actually sounds like. And also he's just saying random stuff like, you're so pretty, you're so fine, will you be mine? Like it is, I'm trying to like replicate how bad it is, but as uncomfortable as the thing I just did was, 10x that. At the end of it, he basically says like, will you be mine and go out with me on Friday night, and then just stops. Dead frickin' silence for a whole 10 seconds, which sounds like not a lot of time, but you have to realize it is a cafeteria full of like 50 to 100 people that are all staring and watching at this. 10 seconds of pure dead silence is extremely difficult to come across. Like it is extremely unlikely to come across. And yeah, let's just say that silence didn't last forever though, as literally everyone like bursts out laughing because bro, I'm not gonna lie, I might laugh as well if I hear that. Dude, all I'm saying is maybe this is not the best way to go about it. Look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the best way is to not talk to this girl ever, go up to her, completely embarrass her in front of everyone, show off that you don't know how to play guitar, show off that you don't know how to sing, show off that you don't know how to songwrite, and show off that you have no social awareness at all. Maybe that is the best way. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm stupid. Who knows, dude? So, yeah, Caroline and her friends, instead of responding and saying no, they literally stand up and they walk out of the lunchroom like in single file line. Dude, when they say, oh, the worst thing she can say is no. Oh, no, dude. You are so wrong. So, yeah, the spoiled kid is literally just like standing there in the middle of everyone, right? With his guitar, his bass, whatever. Bad situation. And he's getting really mad. He's like, the only reason she didn't say yes is you guys convinced her otherwise. She was totally going to say yes to me if you guys weren't here, making her feel like she shouldn't. And everyone's like, dude, what? And he just like runs out of there. He's like, it's all your guys' fault. It's your fault. Basically pulling a Nico Cavo avocado, being like, it's your fault. Whatever, right? And yeah, so sure enough, right? This is not the end of it. Because the spoiled kid is so angry about this that he decides to go on a week-long vacation. Yeah, I told you guys he was a spoiled kid. And this means that, he has access to go on a week-long vacation to a tropical place if he wanted to. Even though he was just a sophomore in high school, he went home. He's like, Mom, buy me a ticket to the Bahamas right now. I'm going to go. So yeah, sure enough, he doesn't attend school for an entire week because he gets on a private plane and he goes off to a tropical resort in the Bahamas. And he just kind of like messes around for a little bit. And he was like, oh, Mom, I'm so stressed out from school. I need to do it right now. And if you don't, I'm going to be so sad. It's going to be all your fault. So, yeah, he's able to go on a private trip to the Bahamas, which is pretty cool for him, I guess. And the thing is, though, this was very bad timing because Sam and him had a class together. And in this class together, they had a pretty major test coming up. And they were going to spend the entire week going over important materials for the test. Sure, the spoiled kid, in theory, could have studied over his trip. I'm not going to say that wasn't possible, but we both know the spoiled kid. And we know for a fact that he is not going to spend his impromptu Bahamas vacation studying for a Algebra 2 exam. We both know that's not going to happen. So the spoiled kid legitimately misses an entire week of class, and the test was on Monday. So sure enough, the entire week goes by, and Monday comes around, and it's finally time for the test. They all walk in, and the spoiled kid walks in and looks confused because everyone's kind of like sitting in their desks. They are getting pencils out. They're putting their backpacks away. Instead of the more chill environment where people are kind of talking, they're very casually walking in. They have their computers out. No, these people are dialed in. So the spoiled kid looks around, and I think he whispers to someone like, what's going on? They're like, dude, we have a test. And he's like, what? So yeah, he sits down. The teacher starts handing out the test, and the teacher's like, spoiled kid, I haven't seen you for the last week. He's like, yeah, I was doing something. The teacher's like, okay, as long as you cleared that with the front office, which I think his parents did, said, oh, he has a medical emergency, he can't be here or something, which is a lie. He just went on a vacation. But he didn't get in trouble for not being in class, but at the end of the day, if you're not in class, you're not in class. Ooh, genius statement, Connor. But that means he just didn't get the information, right? So he sits down, and bro completely bombs the exam. It's not like he was really trying that hard beforehand, but missing out of an entire week of really dedicated review kind of messed him up a little bit. And he got completely destroyed on this exam. But the spoiled kid wrote on top, like, I wasn't here for a week, so I should get plus 40% for all the stuff I missed. Because the thing is, like, Sam, when he went to hand in his test, he handed his test in right after the spoiled kid did. So he saw what the spoiled kid wrote on his exam, which he was like, dude, just because you missed time doesn't mean you should get bonus points on it. Like, why should you get compensated for not being here and going on a fancy vacation instead of, suffering through class like all the rest of us have? No, like, that's obviously ridiculous. And Sam knew for a fact that he was not going to get a 40-point boost for not being here. Like, if anything, he's lucky he doesn't get any points deducted from his participation for not being there for a week, dude. But anyways, right, eventually on Wednesday, the teacher grades him pretty quickly or efficiently, and the tests are being handed back. When the spoiled kid gets his test back, he immediately screams, "This is an outrage! This is ridiculous!" Which the entire class immediately turns to look at him because bro literally just screamed, "This is an outrage, this is ridiculous." I mean, I think I'm going to be paying attention to what he's saying as well, dude. So sure enough, the teacher's like, yes, spoiled kid, like, what's up? He's like, this is a ridiculous grade. I deserve at least a 90 for effort. And she's like, I'm sorry, like, I was a little surprised by your grade too, but I was pretty generous with my points on your test as well. I don't know what else to say, man. He's like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this school. All you guys hate me because I'm rich. And everyone in the class is like, what? Dude, what are you saying right now? He's like, everyone's been against me from day one because I come from a wealthy background. It's your fault. Doing a complete Nico Cotto right now. And he goes on to say, the reason I didn't get star quarterback is because the coach hated me because I was from a better background than him. And the reason why the girl didn't say yes to me, the reason why, what's her name? Caroline didn't say yes to me is because she knew she couldn't keep up with me and my whip. And the reason why I got failed on this test is not because I didn't do well, which he didn't do well. It's not because I didn't do well. It's because the teacher was big mad that I went on a fancy trip. You guys are all haters. Goodbye. He gets up and he just like runs out of the class. And yeah, you guys might be thinking, okay, well, that's a pretty big overreaction, but that must be the end of his overreaction. Oh, no. This is where things get crazy. And I did not clickbait you with the title. This is where the title comes into play, man. So the spoiled kid was super big mad. And he thought to himself, I need to teach everybody a lesson for discriminating against me because I'm rich. Which, no, he didn't get the position as star quarterback because he didn't play football, dude. He just never played football. So obviously he wasn't going to get it. He got rejected by that girl. Well, one, she probably wouldn't have said yes to him in general, but also the way that he asked her out was super embarrassing for her. She doesn't even know who he is, and this is the only impression she has. I doubt any girl would say yes under that impression, bro. And finally, he failed his final exam because he was so mad about the last two things that instead of attending class and or studying, he went on a big long vacation because he could. Because, he could. He's going to do whatever he can or he wants because in general, he can get whatever he wants. But the spoiled kid had twisted this reality into everybody's against him and he needs to teach them a little bit of a lesson. Which I think the spoiled kid just doesn't understand the difference between teaching someone a lesson and burning down the school. But yeah. So anyways, the spoiled kid somehow gets access to gasoline. What the frick, bro? He gets access to gasoline and matches and a lighter. And yeah, this is where things get, okay, I'm going to put this disclaimer in because I think I have to, but also I hope you guys aren't literal 0 IQ individuals. Don't do this, okay? God, I mean, if you guys watch this video and think, oh, I should just go burn down my school, then you actually have a 0 negative IQ individual. Like, I don't know how else to say it. But I think I'm just going to say it just because, right? So anyways, the spoiled kid, so Sam's in class one day, and the fire alarm goes off, and he's like, oh, okay, whatever, this is like, cool. I get to get out of class for another stupid fire drill. So they all get in line, and Sam realizes that this is not a fire drill because it's like the air around him is less clear. It is dense. It's not smoky yet, but it's like dense and it's a little hazy. And he smells a little barbecue in the air. And that's when he realizes, oh, word, this is actually an actual fire, bro. Like, this isn't some drill that's annoying, that genuinely is just made to make us, like, waste time, basically. Oh, this is legit. So everyone is, like, walking in single file line. Some kids are freaking out because they're starting to realize it's legit. But thankfully, everyone gets out of the building safely. And when they get out of the building, they start to see, like, smoke come out of the windows and stuff. They see the fire truck come. They see all the firemen go in. And, yeah, they're, a big message, big mass email, text message, phone, whatever, was sent out to all the parents saying, look, there's emergency at the school. Your children are safe and outside, but we do need you to come and get them as soon as you possibly can. We understand some of you guys have, like, arrangements already. We'll have staff here until 7 or whatever, right? Or still whenever, but please come pick them up as soon as you can. So Sam got picked up, and his mom's like, oh my God, like the school, because they're looking at it now, and there's just billows and billows of smoke coming out of everything. It's legit, right? So they're just like, oh my God, whatever happened? And at this point, Sam had no idea. 2 weeks go by, and basically they are on the equivalent of Zoom at this point because the school is in really bad shape, and they're trying to find a new place for them to go. But it's getting close to the end of the year, or not getting close to the end of the year. It's getting closer to the end of the semester. So there's a little bit more spacing between the first 3 mini stories I told you than it might have seemed. Because now they're getting close to the end of the semester, and they were going to go home anyways pretty soon. But they're basically on Zoom at this point. And so that's when one of his friends comes over to Sam's house. And he's like, bro, I got the whole inside scoop. And Sam's like, okay, like lay it on me. And basically he goes on and says, so the spoiled kid was caught like by one of the teachers with a can of gasoline and a lit match or whatever, or a lighter or something like that. And that's when the teacher's like, what are you doing over here? And that's when the teacher like picked up the gasoline can and realized that it was 95% empty. Like there's just a little bit left. So she's like, was this full when you got here? And the spoiled kid's like, yes, it was. I'm here to teach you guys a lesson. Yeah, so eventually she immediately called like, oh, we have to get the kids out of here. And then immediately, like, fire alarm went off like 30 seconds later. It was crazy. So yeah, the kid was, the school got, school investigation, police investigation. The spoiled kid no longer goes to that school. He's underage. He's not 18, I should say. So it's kind of a weird litigation of what actually happens with him. The spoiled kid's parents are furious. Like, they moved neighborhoods, or they just moved entirely, right? Spoiled kid, his parents like lived around the world anyways, so they barely gave him any attention, which is probably why he turned out the way he did. but they're currently trying to find a new place to live and trying to have that stuff not follow them. They basically spent like $1 million on lawyers just to chuck lawyers at this problem. Because if they throw enough lawyers and enough litigation at this, maybe they'd be able to slow it down so that they'd eventually just like give up on trying to persecute their kid. So yeah, the spoiled kid no longer attends a school. He goes to school somewhere else. Exactly where, nobody really knows. But that was quite an overreaction to getting rejected, bro.
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.